Hello, esteemed people. Welcome to another debate. Appreciate you tuning in. Just getting things started here. Looks like there was a bit of a mix up in the timing of this, but that's okay. We're getting started a little early from what I had scheduled on my end. Thought it was 9 EST. Apparently it's 8 EST, but that's okay. Guys are getting their stuff set up. I'm going to join the panel here and we're going to get this show on the road. So I appreciate everybody being here. Get comfy, get a drink, and hope you enjoy it. So let's go with
You're on you're on stage.
I am on stage.
Are you sharing the sound of the stream? Like you're sharing into a tab, right? When you
Yes.
click the present or invite, when you click the share screen, right? There's a little checkbox in the bottom right corner of
looks like they're still
that
getting
says
set up
share
here.
sound.
In the corner right. Hold on. I got share screen. Also
Right.
share tab audio, and that is selected. Then I go to window. Oh, it makes me select it twice.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully that
Okay.
works for
I
you.
need to
then.
bring up chat here. Let me get my chat going here.
Gotcha. Okay. Chat
Bear
on
with
my
us,
side.
guys.
Am I done being a boomer? Can we hear everybody on the stage? JS, say something racist.
Let's hope.
What's up, Shemangro? Hey,
Now you're
Navy.
echoing
Good to
to
see
me.
you. Confluence HR, good to see you guys.
Are you in it?
Welcome
Wait,
in.
but you're
Welcome
not in
in.
the tab.
We're just getting things started. Can you guys hear
Is
me
it?
all right? They're still
no,
working
never
on their
mind.
stuff.
No, I just opened up Abe's YouTube. That's why that was
You
happening.
guys are all grounded. Everybody's doing it. What is this?
No, it's good. We're good. We're
It's
good.
like boomer hour.
Sounds good. All right.
Stream tard.
We hear you all, says Jack of Blades. Thank you, Jack
Perfect.
of Blades, for being
Perfect. Good man,
AV.
Jack. Thank you. Thank you.
Round
Okay.
1, fight.
All right.
Or
Mo,
something.
are you up and running?
I am good to go, sir. Looking forward to it.
Wonderful. All right. So, to the chat, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to be talking about race and racism. Do they exist? We have three debaters, three contestants, so to speak. JS says race doesn't exist and racism doesn't exist. Reexamination Show says race doesn't exist, but racism does. And Mo Rebuttal says racism does exist, and so does race. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to JS. He's going to have 5 minutes to give us why he has the stances he does, his opening, and then we'll move through all three of them. I'm going to pull up the timer right now, and I will start it on JS's starting.
And I'm going to do 5 minutes just on race right now, and then 5 minutes on racism later, or both of them right now.
You could just do both of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And go.
Okay, so race and racism. First things first, we're going to have to figure out what race means. So I'm going to need a good definition that we can all agree on for what race means. Is it skin color? A lot of people will say race is your skin color, which is determined by pigment and melanin in your skin, which is mainly determined by sunlight and climate. That will influence how much melanin and pigment you have. I don't think that's going to be a good metric. I don't think any of you guys are going to say that it's just skin color. The majority of people nowadays seem to think if you Google race or racism definition, you're going to see power and prejudice. I don't think, we can talk about that if that's for racism, but we still need to figure out what race is. Is it ethnicity? Is it culture? What is it? Because if we say it's ethnicity, well, then we got to figure out, well, what's ethnicity? Even ethnicity is going to be an arbitrary metric. If you say ethnicity is biology and your ancestry, well, what's the arbitrary time frame that we're picking? Because if you go back 50 years, my ethnicity is Floridian. If you go back 400 years, maybe my ethnicity is German. If you go back 1,000 years, maybe my ethnicity is somewhere in Asia. I believe in Adam and Eve, but even if you believe in evolution, there's still going
He's
to be
already
an
going
origin of the
into a
species.
fallacy here.
So if we go back far enough and we don't just pick
already
an
a
arbitrary
fallacy.
time, if we go back to the beginning, then we're all going to have the same ethnicity. We're all going to say
This
have
is
the
basically the
same
same argument
the
I've
same
heard before.
lineage. So it can't be ethnicity. Is it culture? If I like hip hop and I like Cadillacs with big rims on them, does that make me part of the black culture or the African American culture? What if you're a Canadian Jamaican? You're not African American, but you're black. How do we decide what these words mean?
I need the right proper.
We can get pretty deep into that. I don't want to get pedantic about
pipe's always getting in the way
of existence, but existence is to have actual being, to be real, to be present, to live. Synonyms are like survival, living. We don't have to get, I don't have to get weird about existence, but I could to say that ideas and concepts,
we're gonna get in
social constructs don't actually exist. They're just in our mind. If I believe in ghosts, but ghosts aren't real, does my belief in ghosts exist? Does a belief exist? These are all things we're going to have to figure out. Once we come to some sort of agreement, then I can proceed to break all of these definitions, all these ideas can be broken. I think when most people talk about racism, they're saying when you oppress or demean or discriminate against somebody based off of skin color, I would say that's fake and that's not what's happening. When we're doing what's called a racism, we're actually just being hateful. And I don't think that there should be typologies for hate. I don't think we should have different categories
press him
of
on
what
this
hate
a little
is.
bit.
If we call
What he
things
just
be
said
not
right
as it
there.
were, then we blur the lines, and there's no consistent metric for what this thing is. We should just call it hate or stupidity. It's dumb, hateful people doing dumb, hateful things. I'm going to show you examples of things like Daryl Davis infiltrating the KKK by talking to them on the phone, writing letters to them. And when they meet this black man, he makes people leave the KKK because they see that they've never actually met a black man. They had this idea in their head of what black people were. When they meet a good one, they're like, oh, I was totally wrong about the blacks.
Almost like racism is partially due
I'll
to
go through
preconceived
examples
notions.
of celebrities that say
Holy
racism
shit.
doesn't exist. And really, I think this is just a Marxist idea that's used to control people. It controls usually white people through fear because they're afraid of being called racist. It controls usually black people by saying that they're oppressed.
I've got a historical example that's going to blow this out of the water.
And I don't like these ideas, so I'm going to push back against them. And that's all I got.
What are you talking about? I'm reading chat right now. Confluence HR. I'm looking at chat right now.
You said something, nobody heard it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you, JS, for that. That was your 5 minutes. I love it. That was pretty good. All right. Now we're going to go on to re-examination show. Give me 1 second to reset that timer, and then we will start it up. On your go.
All right. Tonight, 2 questions are asked. Does race exist, and does racism exist? I deny that race exists. However, I affirm that racism exists. I'm defining race as the perceived lineage which separates people as different ontologically, morally, or hierarchically based on their genetics, their lineage. Anything else people want to call race boils down to skin pigments, phenotype, and some form of homogenized nationality. The idea itself is unhelpful, even conventionally. Its usage of classification is better suited by phenotype
That's not
and color,
bode well
but its history
in a moment
and legacy
here.
today have moral baggage.
It's unhelpful.
Let's start here. If a population of Latinos and a population of Asian subcontinental people, such as from India and Bangladesh, were to intermarry en masse, would they form one new race, or would they all be considered biracial until the end of time? Some people just map race onto phenotype, color, or ethnicity, which is ultimately self ID. But how does an idea of race have an essence or distinguish anything? Since there are arbitrary line drawing questions about what race is and how it divides, would it be feasible to say there are no races, just force? Think about it. In Loving versus Virginia case, interracial marriage was forbidden, not based on anything real, but by force guided by an idea of racism. Same is true for those who are considered white. The Irish, Italians, and Jews were not considered white when coming to America. Today, it's totally different. Why? No social pressures. Otherwise, if common convention makes race exist, we would also have to say that rights exist. But my opponents tonight will not sign off on that particular claim. What do we say to those who claim racism doesn't exist? It's been said people hate crime, so they look at statistics and hate black people because they hate crime. But this won't do. Ota Benga was an African pygmy who was kept in the monkey house exhibit in the Bronx Zoo in the early 1900s. Is this because they hated monkeys? No, they were treating him as inferior. Were the Yahtzees depicting Jays as rats because they hate rats? No, it's because they hated Jays. When the past leader of the Toronto Black Lives Matter chapter claims that melanin turns light into knowledge,
Had to start sooner than I wanted to, chat, and like the chair's all
she said
like
back in 2017, whiteness
up.
is not humanness.
I don't have it all like.
I'm going to quote this.
I'm not sitting here
Whiteness
comfy,
is not
you know?
humanness. In fact, white skin is subhuman. All phenotypes exist within the black family, and white people are a genetic defect of blackness.
We're going to power
people have
through
a higher concentration of enzymes that suppress melanin production. They are genetically deficient because melanin is present at the inception of life. Melanin enables black skin to capture light and hold it in its memory mode, which reveals the blackness converts light into knowledge, she claims at one point. Melanin directly communicates with cosmic energy. White people are regressive genetic defects. This is factual, unquote. It doesn't get any clearer than this, folks. Race doesn't exist because every justification for this is unnecessary as a category and is arbitrary. But racism does. And the idea of race motivates the force that keeps this perception going. It's much easier, actually, to prove that the zodiac exists because you actually have measurable times between when people can get born on a date and
watch when I hit him with my hypothetical.
An arbitrary
I can't wait to hear what they say about
explained by phenotype, which actually classifies people by a geographic area that have certain features. But race itself, for example, doesn't explain the phenomenon of are they white or are they Jewish? Are they white or are they Irish? What are the Spanish? Are the Spanish European? Does that mean that the Spanish are white? Does that mean that the Greeks are white? Does that mean that, what about the Slavs? Are they white? You know, and then what about divisions within perceived races such as yellow bone or red bone of about who's blacker or who's less black and who's in the in group and who's in the out group? And you'd have to also explain if race does exist, but it's not a commission of some kind of ontological, hierarchical, or moral essentialism of people, then why is racism, the idea of race itself, associated with all these permissions and these claims about people? Why isn't racism just saying, well, people are different then? Why is it an association with hate and division?
I think
that's my understanding of it, and I'd like to hear.
Oh wait, here we go. Here we go. We're getting ready. Here we go.
All right, thank you for that, Rex. There we go. All right, and Mo, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, on the marks.
Yeah. So as it is becoming tradition with Foursquare, my intros are usually pretty short and to the point. So this one won't be any different. I did notice a few things interesting in their openings. Rex claims that race is not helpful or unnecessary. Helpful and unnecessary. I would disagree, and we can get into why. JS made a point that when someone is doing a racism, that's not what's going on. That's an interesting claim. I'd like to explore that some more. That seems to imply that he has somehow access to other minds. This is going to be interesting to discuss. But just to keep it short, I affirm both race and racism exist. My opponents are in a very strange position tonight. They're going to argue that something people constantly recognize, constantly use, constantly act on, somehow doesn't exist. So I'm going to press them on a few things. They need to explain how a category that clearly operates in the real world isn't real. And they need to explain how people can be treated differently based on perceived traits, without that behavior actually existing or having a name. If they can't do both, their position collapses. I'm looking forward to showing them how. So let's get into it.
Like you said, short and sweet. That was pretty short and sweet. So, all right, gentlemen. Now that we have those out of the way, we have to move into our second phase. So, uh, I guess let's do just a short spurt here where you three can discuss what you mean by race and what you mean by racism, and then we can do the cross examinations. Do you want to make and agree
Yeah,
on a
I'm good with
specific
that.
definition?
I can throw out what I consider race to be.
Yeah, I need the. Well, I'm the negative on both, so I need them to tell me what race and racism.
So
I mean,
it would
they
be.
kind of. Well,
I'll just
re-exam did.
go. Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw this out. So for my working definition, it's a socially recognized classification of people based on perceived immutable physical traits. So things like skin tone, facial structure, hair type, typically, and this is important, linked to ancestry and historical geographical clustering.
Okay. So ancestry and historical geographic clustering. When are we looking at to determine this, where their ancestry and their historical geographic clustering is?
When exactly?
Yeah, well, like when are we going back to?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a fallacy.
It's a,
You want
it's
to
a fallacy.
know why?
Well, what?
It's a fallacy even ask that question.
I mean, your argument.
You're
You made
shit,
an argument
man.
from
You
consensus.
you got a fallacy, bro. Your epistemology's whack, dog.
You had a fallacy
Listen.
in your opening. It was an argument from
No.
consensus.
No,
Yeah,
no.
just
Okay,
because
I'll
a lot of
explain.
people
I'll
see it and
explain
recognize that
I'll
it's
explain
real.
exactly why it's a fallacy. Because you do this with race as well, and it's called the continuum fallacy. JS, tell me, when does a grain of sand become a beach?
No, I'm not making it. I'm going back to
Yes,
the
you
origin.
are. You're
I'm going back
asking.
to the
You're
beginning.
asking where. Just because history changes and shifts and people migrate, it doesn't mean that you can't trace ancestry back to geographical locations. So it would matter. It would depend on which race you're looking at. Now, also, you have to consider that race is an umbrella term, right? Just like white. There's many different people or sub ethnicities inside the white race. African also has the same thing. So its ethnicity is a subset of race.
Okay,
Well-
but my point is what I said in my opening. You're picking an arbitrary time of when you're deciding on the geographic clustering and the ancestry. I would
No.
prescribe that we go back to the origin of species, to the very beginning. And if we
Mhm.
go back to the beginning, whether you believe in Adam and Eve or you believe in evolution, whatever, I know we all.
Well, actually, I know we're just doing this. Hey, we're doing like a short spurt here, but I just have an actual. I'd like to get into my actual argument here, if that's fine. I don't know if you want to do that or we don't want to continue this definition game.
Well, I gave
Well-
my definition in my opening statement. I think. Does anybody remember it? You want me to restate it?
He
You
said
can restate it.
lineage.
Go ahead. So I'm defining race as the perceived lineage which separates people as different ontologically, morally, or hierarchically.
Perceived.
Perceived, because I believe racism is a belief. Racism corresponds to race, and so I think race is a fictional idea that divides people. And if it's not, then phenotype takes over from there, or color takes over from there. Or any heritable trait. But what I don't see is some emergent property called race that comes from heritable traits, phenotypes, or colors.
So two black people have an albino child. Is it a different race?
No, because I believe in, like you, the human race. That race does not exist.
Right.
Mhm. Well,
Okay.
so I think
Well,
just to keep things structured, maybe we tackle race first and then go into racism. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay.
well,
So
okay, so
go ahead.
hold on. So do we want to do the 3 or the 2-to-1 crossover for it, or are we just doing open? Because
Well, I haven't given like my real argument unless to be cross-examined, but we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, Abe, it's your call
It's our
to
call.
see where you want the 2v1 be pointed, because we're all taking turns on that.
yeah, well, let's just do I guess we could grind the gears a little bit here and just let you
Okay.
guys argue over your positions, and then we can do the verses.
Mhm.
That way, people are a little bit more clear on what each other's stances are, I guess. Because if you can't agree on the definitions, then then you got to fight that out first.
I'm fine with using the both their definitions are basically phenotype and lineage.
Mhm.
Would you both agree with that?
Well, yeah, except Mo does not have any metaphysical component to his definition of race. So that's a big difference, because I'm associating race with racism, and that would have a moral, ontological, or hierarchical claim, whereas his does not. His is descriptive, and I think that the problem with that is if he's not talking about phenotype or color or even like ethnicity, which is still kind of probably the most vague of all, then I don't know.
Well, no,
what
my definition has like immutable characteristics in it: skin tone, facial structure, hair.
so it's
Sounds-
phenotype.
So it sounds like we need to start with race, and it's going to be you, Rex, and JS versus Mo, because you
Just
both
like I like it.
say it doesn't exist, and Mo says it does.
Glutton
And
for punishment.
this seems to be your first contention. So let's go ahead and start with that one.
Okay.
All right, so 10 minutes for the cross-examination.
Yeah, let's do
About,
it.
and
you
we're
can
about race. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Let's get to it.
So, Mo, what is the emergent thing between phenotype, color, ethnicity, and all the above that gives us race? What does race actually describe?
As I said, race describes. So when you talk about white, black, those are umbrella terms that would encapsulate different ethnicities across different groups.
What does that do that phenotype does not?
What does what do?
What does the word race do that phenotype does not?
What does race do that phenotype does not? Well, the phenotype is the
Yeah.
descriptor that you use to cluster what people consider race.
So phenotype is race?
It is a part of the descriptor of the race that people generally agree on and identify different groups. So, example, like if someone said that, hey, Rex, me and you live in a community, right? And then someone came by and said, and let's say it's predominantly white community, and someone said, hey, a Somali family just moved in next door. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you think they look like?
Oh, you mean visually? Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably have more of a they're probably thin, they probably have more of a narrow head, they would have black skin. That's what I would come to mind based
Right.
on that, who's typically in the nation of Somalia. Yes.
And they don't speak English very good.
And
that
they
could
go to
potentially
Minnesota.
be it. Yeah, that could potentially be it too. So yeah.
Okay.
This is just general descriptors of reality that where people operate out of.
And is this
So your idea of race is loose then?
No, it's not necessarily loose, because it's kind of like saying, okay, race is a sedan, and then when you talk about ethnicity, then it's a 2021 Honda Accord. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
I guess. But again, how is that different than phenotype? Because you said phenotype is part of it, meaning that phenotype in and of itself does not do enough to equate to what race is. So I'm trying to figure out what the other components are that make the emergent property of race that you're describing.
Well, usually it's linked to ancestry, typically by geographical location.
So it's genetic.
Genetics plays a large role, yes. Yes.
And
Didn't you say
arbitrary.
in your video that race doesn't have to be biological, or did I mishear you?
I don't believe I ever said that. No.
Interesting. I'm gonna want to. I should have got the timestamp for that.
You said immutable characteristics. Immutable meaning they're born with it and it can't be changed.
Yeah, it's things that they're born with that can't be changed. Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, Michael Jackson was born a poor black boy and he died a rich white woman. So, I mean, you could bleach your skin.
Yeah.
You could bleach your skin.
And
you could
but
straighten
was
your
that
hair.
so if I get a boob implant, does that make me a woman, JS?
No.
Okay, thank you.
But
Fucking stupid argument.
Hold on. It's not a stupid argument. It's not a stupid argument because
Yes, it is.
no, there's a follow-up question to it.
Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
is it self-identified or is it how you outwardly present to people?
Once again, my definition has to do with ancestry, geographical location, and perceived
We
physical
can look
traits.
in somebody's genes and see if they're a male or a woman. We can look at their
Yeah, and you can look at their genes and find different things that separate them by race too. Sickle cell, for
Can you?
instance. Yeah, sickle cell is a very common thing amongst the Black community. JS.
well,
But it's
the
not
major-
required to have sickle cell, right?
right.
It's not required,
And the majority of time, race is self-identified.
but it's very
So it
useful.
would be like you'd give me a form and it would say,
No.
"What race are you?"
What do you mean by self-identified? Do you mean I
Self-identified.
check a box? Does that mean make reality, JS? If
So
I say
what's
I'm
my
a woman on
race?
my driver's license, do I am I a woman?
What's my race?
What's your race? You would be categorized as white. Now, if we want to
I'm
talk about
white.
you want to talk about ethnicity, then we can talk about, are you German? Are you Italian? We can drill down into it.
Mo, I got some news for you. I thought I heard you correctly. At the 4-minute and 35 mark of your video, racism isn't real, a rebuttal, you say you don't even have to claim race is biological. What did you mean by that?
Well, if you play the whole thing, my rebuttal, it says the comment was, you don't even have to claim this to use this argument. So it was saying that I don't even need to rely on that in order to make the argument. Maybe you should watch the whole video.
I did watch the whole video, but I thought it was a strange thing to say. Oh, please expand on that for me because I think that's useful.
Well, let me actually, that was a very long time ago, I'll be honest with you, but I do remember that part. I'd have to bring up my syllogism, so if you bear with me, I can, but that might make for a boring stream.
I can, let's see.
I don't know, but you said I'm white. What if my dad's black?
If your dad's black?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once again, this is the continuum fallacy. So just because you cannot
no, the
point
question
to,
would be no.
If you have hold on. If you have, let's say, oh, I have 10% black in me. So does that make me, what am I? Well, it's like, okay, just because it's like you don't, just because it's a fuzzy
So you
category.
get to decide my race.
No, this is reality. If it's a fuzzy, just because something's a fuzzy category does not mean two categories don't exist. A grain of sand and a beach still exist, even though you can't point to exactly when one turns to the other.
So what?
Yeah,
so are you saying
I know
that
you
the
can
person
keep telling me what
exists with?
continuum fallacy is, but you
You don't seem to understand it.
You made it appeal to consensus in your opening statement, dude. So
okay, great.
We can play the debate bro fallacy game.
Well, no, what your argument hinges on this, and that's why it's hilarious because you commit this fallacy all the time.
Hinges on you are going to make a bunch of arbitrary claims like lineage and phenotypes and
I did make arbitrary
location based off of an arbitrary place and time.
No,
you're not going to go back. I'm going to go to the origins.
Yeah, let me read your argument verbatim, so everybody, and it's your argument. So I'm looking at the screen right now. It says counter argument. Premise 1: many real and useful categories have fuzzy or conventional dependent boundaries. Premise 2: a category's lack of universal boundary does not imply the category is unreal or meaningless. Premise 3: race can be a fuzzy category while still being socially recognized and used in practice. C: therefore, race has no universal standard, does not logically entail, quote, racism isn't real, or, quote, race isn't real. You don't even have to claim race as biological. This works even if it's social. So is your argument that race is not can be non-biological and still be just as real as if it was biological?
Once again, what I meant by that is you could even make the claim that it's a social construct and still use the argument. That was my claim.
But it's a social construct about physical genetic phenomena.
Yeah. Do you understand that, like, I'm making a main argument and then I'm saying that, hey, if you want to even like take the biological out of it, you can still make it work. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah, but how does that leave race? Is it real with any meaning at the end of it if you make it completely social?
I'm not. You're attributing that to one comment that I put in there, but on an offhand note that, hey guys, if you want to use this argument, you don't necessarily have to use it from a biological stance.
Okay, so let's say I don't use it from a biological stance. What am I talking about? Just people's beliefs?
I'm saying that it's still descriptively true that people will act on perception and what they see.
Right, but how does that begin to be useful then if it's not even having to do with biology or genetics or anything like that.
Well, no,
Like,
well, hold on,
because we say it doesn't have to be
wait.
biological.
You're injecting the word useful in this scenario. That syllogism did not imply that like necessarily this is something to live by. It's just that this thing exists.
Well, I mean, if a thing exists and I'm trying to think of a term that exists and describes something but is not useful. You're saying I'm injecting useful, but the whole point of the word is to capture an idea that distinguishes
Intrinsic
itself from other
rights.
ideas.
How about that? Intrinsic rights. That's a descriptor, and
Intrinsic
people
rights?
use it all the time, but it doesn't, it doesn't necessarily like not necessarily reality or useful, right?
So then if the idea of race is reinforced by social pressures, then it's just as real as rights?
Or empathy.
If it has force behind it, then yeah, you can make a lot of things to reality.
So tomorrow, if I grab all of the pew pews and I say that all the JJs get out of America, then then because they're not white, does that become descriptively true after power is applied?
What does what become descriptively true?
That
That
the
they're
Jays
not
are
they're
no
not
longer
here.
white.
That they're no longer
No, that
here,
they're no
or
longer they're no longer the same race as somebody who shares the same facial structure and skin pigment.
well, that would be racism. So that would make racism real.
So, but would that make race real where it wasn't before?
It would make race real in the context of they're using a race in order to justify their horrible acts.
But if they didn't think of the idea until later, the race didn't exist until they enforced the idea they had, right? If it was all conceptual.
Well, no, it's
That's
a
time.
description. It's descriptively true. They're just using it in a untoward way.
Gentlemen,
Okay,
that
well,
is
clock
time.
is out.
Do you feel like you've made any headway?
No, I still don't know what race is.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
We've done our
All right.
job.
Great. That's good stuff because it just means that the open part will be more ferocious. Where would we like to go now? Who wants to be in the 1v2 hot seat next?
I'll do it
JS?
just to rip the band-aid off, I guess.
Okay, that's fair with me. So here's the contention. Rex says there's no such thing as race, but there is racism. And you two can pick that apart and ask some questions.
Yeah. So
And-
here's a question, Rex.
Yeah.
So you affirm that racism is real, but race is not, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how can something that people do, racism, right? That is the presupposition of that would be their race would have to exist for them to enact these things, right? They would have to.
No.
They're presupposing race. So how can racism exist and race doesn't?
Because race is a claim about ontological, hierarchical, and moral differences that are attributed by lineage to essentialize a person to
Well,
say.
no.
this
That's not the claim. That's not the definition of race. That's not always used.
That's what racism is.
Okay.
So why wouldn't that?
Right,
Why
racism.
wouldn't that? Right. Why wouldn't that go back to race?
But what is it referencing? What is a reference for racism if racism exists?
That's the imagination. So you're using
imagination.
arbitrary things. Yes, you are using arbitrary metrics to make ontological, hierarchical, and moral judgments about a person and their lineage and anybody who you perceive to be in their lineage, so as to demark them as lesser than, or your enemy, or your outgroup, or worse than you on a moral scale.
So even if it's let's say it's racism, right? So let's say these people just have crazy ideas. They're still basing it on something that they're pointing at. What is that thing if it's not real?
Well, let me give you a counterexample. Let's say that there are people who.
Well,
believe
I'd like you to
reptilians
answer the
are real.
question.
What are they? I have to illustrate. I want to illustrate this. So
can you give me the
clear.
answer and then qualifier?
Okay, sorry. Give me the question again.
Okay, so if someone's doing a racism, right? What are they referencing if race doesn't exist?
Their perception of physical characteristics and lineage. Can I give my clarifier?
And what is that?
Okay, great. I'll give you my clarifier. Let's say there's a group of people who believe reptilians exist. They believe, and let's say this cult breaks off into 3 branches. The first branch says red-haired people are reptilians. The second branch says blonde-haired people are reptilians. The third branch says brunettes are reptilians. Now, they all are using arbitrary metrics to come to a conclusion about people, about things that aren't real. The thing that they think isn't real, right? Their conclusion is not real, but it's based on real things that they attribute with unreal ideas.
So in this scenario, there's a problem with this example because you can prove that reptilians don't exist. I need you to prove to me race doesn't exist in order to even go with this example.
I would have to know what the delineation of race is, because all we're saying is like, well, race is either biological, in which case I don't know whether I don't know whether biracial exists in any sense, because you'd have to say if biracial exists, then that race is like a solid block that a person is divided. And this goes into like what I call the ice cream fallacy, where if you're white and then you have like 30% blackness in you, you'll become black. And it's arbitrary.
Okay.
Whereas if you have 50% whiteness in you and you're Asian,
I'm
you're still considered
confused.
Asian or something.
Why then, in the example when I asked you about the Somalis moving next door, you knew exactly what they would look like, or at least a general idea of what they would look like if race doesn't exist?
Well, because I can use phenotype for that. I don't have to use race. I don't know
And
what
that
race
is
has to do with it.
But that's what everyone considers race. That's what everyone talks about when they talk about race.
Not you, because I asked you if it's phenotype race, and you said it's part of it. And so
you're saying the thing doesn't exist, but the belief in the thing exists.
Correct.
Okay.
Like you could, I wouldn't say Islam doesn't exist because Allah doesn't exist.
Hey, right. JS, this is supposed to be a cross-examination, just so you know. But anyway.
Right. Here's the problem. I'm the yes, no, and you guys the no, and the yes, yes. So I'm in the awkward position of like having to defend both premises at once.
It's called a steel man mode.
Yeah. So, well, you maybe could ask a question too, but maybe you try asking a question and actually do a cross-examine.
Oh, I have questions.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to critique his opening. He said the Yahtzees were racist because they killed the Jays, or they drew pictures of the Jays as rats. The Yahtzees also killed gays, blacks, people of their own race with different hair colors. So they weren't racist. They were just hateful and evil.
Let's just put that. Let's put all the other things. I'll just grant you all the other things.
The only smart thing Whoopi Goldberg ever said was the Yahtzees weren't racist. They were just.
Well, that's because she's racist against the Jays. But anyway, the point is, so when you say that they weren't racist, they just made a people into a subhuman group.
Hey, gospel.
How do you square that circle?
We're this isn't an open panel. Maybe we'll do the open panel afterwards.
I wouldn't call it racism.
This is a debate.
Okay.
Hey, potato.
You're saying the belief in the thing exists. I'm saying the belief in the thing is faulty. It's not real because it's based off of conditioning. It's social conditioning. It's the environment they grew up in. It's things that they were taught. And usually those things are wrong and they could be convinced out of those things. That's why I brought up Daryl Davis.
Okay, well, all those things can be true, but just because it's hate doesn't mean it's not racism. And there's no reason not to qualify what kind of system we're talking about. Because, for example, if I say, oh, that's not Islam, it's just terrorism, that's just a cope, okay? You have to take it for what it really is, the belief system that's hampering it. You attack it on the belief system level if you want to identify it. Because if you don't attack it on the belief system level, you're neutering the necessary components and weapons to destroy the source of the violence and the discrimination and the hate itself.
No, you're giving power to the enemy by making all these different categories and typologies of hate. And that's why we have things like sexism, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, racism.
Well, you're giving power to the enemy by taking away our ability to call it what it is.
No, I'm calling it what it is. You're calling it what it's not.
No, I'm identifying the structure by which they use logic in order to come to racist conclusions. They're saying because of your lineage, you are ontologically inferior, hierarchically inferior, or we're superior or something like that, or morally inferior, and it's immutable. They're saying these metaphysical things are ontologically true of you because of your genetics.
Metaphysical, like, is this transcendental racism?
What it is a statement about different hierarchies in human nature. So obviously it wouldn't be transcendental to humans if you're categorizing other humans as lesser than yourself or yourself greater than others, if you're attributing it to their lineage, which has nothing to do with your moral, ontological,
why okay, you've said that a few times. Why exactly does a descriptor of a race inherently mean that it is hierarchical?
Because that's how racism is used.
No, race, not racism. Race.
Well, racism is the belief in race, so it corresponds to what race is.
No,
so if I believe in Islamism, that's dependent upon.
Well, no.
Islam.
No. Let's simplify it. I'm a German guy, and there's a sub-Saharan African guy. Those are two like descriptors of a race, or I'm white, I'm black, right? Why I'm white, someone else is black. In that statement, where's the hierarchy that I'm imposing?
In the description of phenotype, none.
So race exists. Okay, great.
So race is phenotype.
Part of it, yeah. Based on
so what's the rest of it? What's the rest of it? If it's racist phenotype,
ancestry,
what's the rest of it?
Ancestry.
For the dumb people,
everybody has ancestry.
Ancestry based on clustering.
Audience,
just about every ancestry is based on clustering. I mean, the whole point of proximity is you marry who's close to you. So you're going to
maybe you should get on
like your community.
Maybe you should go to this fictitious site 23andMe and find out where your ancestry is.
Didn't that get shut down?
I don't know, maybe.
No,
but anyway, everybody has an ancestry. Everybody has.
The point is they're using the descriptors to show, and that even in that they show geographical clustering to show the race and ethnicity of the people that they get the blood types from.
I got one last question before time runs out.
Yeah. Go ahead, JS.
If I could give you an example of God saying a certain nation of people were despicable and he's going to wipe them off the face of the earth, just a certain group of people, does that make God racist?
No, that's a moral category because that has nothing to do with your genetics. If you could use that as a description of culture. For example, you can read Romans 11 and talk about how the Jews have a partial hardening, but partial hardening, I mean, there's a judgment to that, but that doesn't mean that if you're of a certain bloodline, you're less capable of coming to God or things like that. It just describes what's going on spiritually. But
Rex believes race doesn't exist, Alexander, but racism does exist.
We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities and wickedness in high places.
Right.
That's what racism is. It's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. You have a spiritual issue with a person who looks different than you, talks different than you. And if we keep breaking all these into different categories, we get all these isms that don't exist instead of just calling it what it is, which is hate.
You can't call it without precision.
It's just dumb. Usually it's just dumb.
You can't call it what it is without precision. So if you use all this censorship on yourself to say, well, I can't nail exactly what this person believes and show why the fallacies are in the guts of their belief system, because then if I do that, I'm giving power. It's like, no, you're taking it away as soon as you nail it. That's time.
And that is time. Man, you guys are trying to be as spicy as possible, it seems.
Oh, you haven't seen nothing yet. Wait when it opens up. I've got something.
The nukes. Oh, that's a local commercial. I can't use that one.
What is happening?
I don't know.
I don't know, Abe. We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. The timer has stopped and it's like beeping, but won't stop beeping.
Maybe it's your taco that's going off in the background. You forgot in the microwave.
Abe's tacos.
Hold on.
Oh shit!
It'd be hilarious if you dressed like that. It'd be hilarious if you dressed like that. You went in the corner and had Abe's taco stand. Like,
give me 1 second, gentlemen.
No problem.
We'll be right back after this.
Hey everybody! It's a sunny day in California. Steamy 81 degrees outside.
Hey, Days, it's a scummy day in California.
It's a scummy day because we're all a bunch of degens, but you know.
Yeah, the beach is strewn by abandoned RVs.
All right.
Oh.
Sorry about that, gentlemen. That was
hey, JS,
weird.
We're over you.
All right. So, JS is saying that neither exist at all, and he knows best. So, basically, you gentlemen have to argue with JS about why you could make the claim that neither of them exist in reality.
We only see partial clock, by the way. Oh,
you know what?
There.
You know what?
I do know what. I do know what. That's why I can tell you.
Can you tell me?
He's making it look nice and fancy. He's getting it.
The fancy clock.
There we go.
Jeez. All right. And go.
JS,
All right,
in your opening, you said that when someone does a racism, that's not what they're doing. What do you mean by that, sir?
They're just doing hateful, evil acts.
How do you know this?
Because that's what it is. It's if I
Because
whoop
it
somebody's
because
ass because they're black and I say I hate black people and I beat their ass. It's not that's not racist. When you think this way,
wow, I didn't think you'd fall
that's how
apart
you
this
get-
easy on one question. Go ahead.
That's how you get hate crimes.
Okay, but how do you know, sir? How do you know this?
You believe in hate crimes. You believe somebody should get a.
That's
an
not answering the
amplified
question.
sentence for a
That's not
hate
answering the question.
crime?
How
I'm
do
not
you
allowed to ask
know?
It's like a cross exam.
This-
I'm not allowed to ask questions. I
This
forgot.
is we're at well, you didn't answer the question. So how do you know? You didn't answer the question.
I did. I said hate, evil, dumb.
Hate. So if someone is being racist, or they would you say that's a hateful act?
No, I don't think you can be racist.
Okay, but how do you know they're not being racist? Do you have access to other minds? Is this what
You're
this
begging
is?
the question. You're saying if somebody's being racist, does that mean that?
Okay,
they're
that's
evil?
fine.
I'm saying
But how do you know they're not being
racist?
racist? Let's go back to the original question. How do you know they're not being racist?
Because it doesn't exist.
That's not that means nothing. You're just reasserting that it doesn't exist without telling me exactly how you know they're not being racist.
Well, because we already discussed race doesn't exist. It's arbitrary, inconsistent, subjective, usually self-identified.
So you're not going to answer the
hold on,
question.
You can't really tell my race. You can just say I'm white.
Not going to answer the
JS,
question, are you?
JS, I got a question for you. When they
No, you
put
didn't.
Otabenga, an African pygmy black man, in the monkey house of the Bronx Zoo in the early 1900s, was that not because of his perceived lineage and the value they gave to him because of it?
So Alexander,
'cause
like
they were
that's
dumb,
what I'm
angry
getting at,
people.
right? Like he's
They're
saying that
dumb, angry
racism doesn't
people, and
exist. So how is he making this claim?
It's
And he never
so
answered the question.
mind-numbing, dude. So they didn't have any reason based on his looks to put him in the monkey cage that they thought was appropriate.
Could have been. Okay, so it's looksism.
Okay, so he looks
So
like
you're just
what?
renaming what racism is?
No, I think that would be stupid too. I'm just showing how nonsensical it is.
Then why did the black ministers in New York come to the zoo and say this is horrible, this is demeaning based on race? You know, their idea of race. Why would they do that? Is it because they were loving people and like the zoo is like run by hateful people, hateful dumb people? Then why? That's ridiculous. So then why didn't they get all sorts of humans and put them in all sorts of exhibits if they're just hateful dumb people caging people?
I think they were influenced by worldly ideas that didn't make sense. So like the term racism came from the term racialism, which was coined by William Henry Pratt. And I think that's his name, right?
It's a Wikipedia article.
No, Richard Henry Pratt, who said the South having black slaves is racist. That's racialism. But Richard Henry Pratt started the school where they were killing Native American kids.
Based on what?
That's supposed to prove something?
Yeah,
That's not racialism, but white people having slaves in the South, that was racialism. So it's
sounds like a big non sequitur. I don't know what you're even trying to
So
prove.
wait, just because two situations in history don't perfectly fold into each other coherently, that proves it doesn't exist? Is that your stance, really?
Yeah, there's just made up words used to control people.
Okay, so once again, I'm sorry, I feel like this really wasn't answered. How do you know someone's not being racist?
Because it doesn't exist.
That's just reasserting the claim.
No, you're asking. I say racism doesn't exist. How do you know somebody's not being racist? Because it doesn't exist.
How do you know somebody doesn't hate somebody because of their lineage?
How do I know somebody doesn't hate somebody because of their lineage?
Yes. So if somebody says this guy is black, I'm going to put him in the monkey cage, or I see him as inferior to us, and I think this is appropriate. You don't think that is based on their lineage, a lineage-based inferiority judgment?
No, they don't know their lineage.
That's not the question. They made an assessment of their lineage, whether they know it or not. That's their impression, and they thought it was appropriate to put this guy in the monkey house in the Bronx Zoo.
Maybe it's because he looked like a monkey.
So attributing it to his physical characteristics.
Yeah.
That's racism.
That's racism and race.
Racism.
I think it's just dumb.
Well, you can think it's dumb. Look, Jace, we can agree that it's dumb, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and that's what they act. Yeah. You don't have look, just because you agree that a descriptor claim is true and accurate doesn't mean you agree with how people use it, right? Or all the things in history that are horrible. You don't have to jump on board. It's okay.
Right, flat earthism is dumb, but there are real flat earthers out there.
I'm not going to go along with the idea that this was racism. I'm going to say it's just dumb people. They thought he looked like a monkey, so they put him in a monkey cage.
Why? Okay, what made them think that it was appropriate if they thought he was human?
Maybe they didn't think he was human. Maybe they thought he was subhuman.
Oh, okay. So they made an ontological hierarchical claim about him based on his genetic traits.
Yeah, they didn't understand what biology and humans were. They were.
Wait. Okay, no. Riddle me this. Why is it that when the black ministers came to the zoo and complained, they didn't throw the black ministers in the monkey cage too?
The black ministers came and complained because they had more power.
So racism is a power construct. Are you a liberal left? Are you a leftist now?
I mean, you guys are the ones who sound like leftists. You're talking about racism.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about descriptors. But you just admitted that they put him in a cage because he looked like a monkey. Like, how is that not like holy shit, man? Like, and then I want to ask you, like, how can you tell if someone's being racist? All you say is because racism exists. That's reasserting the claim. It's incoherent. Makes no fucking sense.
Well, that's why I think there's a translation thing that needs to happen because if he disagrees with racism exists and you pitch him the word racism, he's just going to reply to that every time. Well, you have to actually break it down by its components and deliver it to him, like I was doing with the
Yeah.
And we kind of got the answer.
Yeah, but they don't know.
I'm satisfied with that answer.
They see a person who looks like a monkey, they put him in a monkey cage. They didn't put him in a black person. Hold on, they didn't put him in a black person cage. They put him in a monkey cage. So it's speciesism because we put monkeys.
This is far better. This turned out far better than I thought.
Is it speciesism when we put monkeys in cages?
We're not making racism is entirely to do with humanity. Has nothing to do with animals.
I know.
So when you attribute animalness to humans, that is racism because you're making an ontological claim that separates yourself from them.
I'm saying it's not speciesism that we keep monkeys in cages. They didn't put him in the black person cage. They put him in the monkey cage.
Well, no. So, actually, no. Hold on. You can go with this. No, humans put animals in cages because they view them as inferior.
Correct.
Okay, so they're speciesist.
Well, but they still view them as inferior.
So hold up. That's my entire point of race doesn't exist, but racism exists. Because if racism exists, then they're speciesist and they're misattributing species to a human. That's racism.
Yeah, when I see a pit bull,
Alexander, I'm not really sure. I think he was just by himself, if I remember the case. This is actually Rex's point.
Nobody calls me speciesist.
So the whole thing, we have demeanor.
It's just observations.
The American Kennel Club has demeanor breakdowns based on genetics, and you just made an essentialist claim and tried to map that onto humanity.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you're saying that if you see a particular lineage of people, the lineage alone, not their behavior, but the lineage alone.
You don't see their lineage. You don't know their lineage. You're just guessing.
Then how do you tell when it's a pit bull?
No. Oh, so are we talking about lineage or phenotypes?
You made an analogy, so I'm engaging you on the analogy level. You said crossing the side of the street. I'm assuming that stereotypically you're talking about crossing the side of the street when black people are on the same side of the street.
No, I was talking about a pit bull.
Right. So, so you cross the street when you see a pit bull because why?
Because I know pit bulls do most of the attacks on children and they'll randomly bite.
And how do you identify it's a pit bull, JS?
By the way it looks.
And do you think that it's genetic, that demeanor?
but I don't actually know it's a pit bull. It could be a mix.
Then how do you know when to cross the street?
It looks like a dangerous dog, so I cross to the other side of the street.
But do you
How do
think
you
it
know
looks
what a
like a pit
dangerous dog
bull?
looks like?
But it doesn't mean that I'm speciesist. It's not speciesism.
We're talking about how you identify it right now. That's all we're trying to lock
Even
on.
if I
out.
said I hate pit bulls, I'm still not a speciesist.
Gentlemen, that's time. That's time.
Well, I thought that was
But,
very productive.
I kind of feel like I almost laughed out of my chair on some of
Mm.
those comments. With that being said, I guess we're done with the 10-minute micro segments here. So I suppose you gentlemen could just dig into it and
Yeah, I actually have something for both parties here, and it's going to go in the order. I have two examples, but the first one has to do with race, right? The claim that race isn't. So here's a hypothetical to engage with, gentlemen. Let's say, okay, it's the future, and we decide that the doctors, they need a little help, so they built an AI, and this AI is completely race blind. It doesn't believe race exists. I treat everyone equally. Race does not exist, the AI says. So that goes on for a little bit, and patients come in. They come in with severe bone pain, fatigue, swelling, shortness of breath. The AI runs a full scan, low hemoglobin, signs of anemia. The AI says, got it. This matches anemia patterns. I'm going to diagnose iron deficiency. Hands them a supplement, sends them on their way home. Problem is, patients keep coming back. And they come back worse. They come back worse, organ damage, severe chest pains. Some are even having strokes. AI scans again, same answer, anemia detected. Continue treatment. Eventually, all these patients start to die. The AI reports, well, no bias detected. I treat them all equally. Patients were treated equally. What's the problem? What they never realized was all these patients had sickle cell. The symptoms overlap with other common things. The pattern tied to ancestry and race, which they screened for, is what would have caught this and saved their lives. So, in this example, gentlemen, I have a question. Should the medical community continue to screen based on race for sickle cell or not?
Well, hold on. What was the test what was the actual test? They gave him what, a cheek swab or what?
Blood test.
Blood test. So sickle cell anemia describes when red blood cells are at only half capacity for oxygen.
Well,
carriers,
hold on.
right?
You have to specifically test for sickle cell. It doesn't show up on a regular scan.
Okay.
And you have
So
to
they're
screen
not
for
using-
it based on race.
You have to screen for it based on race.
Yes.
Okay. So how do they screen for it based on race?
If you're black, 1 in 300 something people have. If you get the two traits together, then you get sickle cell. But if you only have the one, then it's fine. But it's more commonly in the black ancestry.
Okay. So, but then again, how do you determine? For example,
Well, hold on.
the
Hold
rapper
on.
Logic black?
Well, hold on. Wait, we're getting away from the question. Should the
Well,
medical
as long
community
as blackness,
should
as
the
long as
medical
blackness-
community still scan or still basically treat or look at black people for sickle cell? Should they do that or not? Because that's what the medical community does.
I think doctors should do physicals on all people.
Well,
and
well,
they'll
that-
all
find these
people.
things.
Oh,
Well,
so
that-
okay. Actually, JS, great. Okay, tell you what, JS, I agree. I'm gonna go along with this. Yeah, we should scan everybody for everything. But in the future, when we have giant tubes where people can walk in and a giant little laser comes through and scans them perfectly and finds every possible fucking thing that could be wrong with them, I agree with you. But that's not how modern medical works. They base their what they treat for on patterns and most likely outcomes. That's how the current medical community operates. So in the future, when everything is this utopia, great, we can go down that. But JS, the question still remains: should they still scan for sickle cell in Black community or not?
Yeah, I'm fine with
So
observing
race exists.
pattern.
Great.
it doesn't
Can
follow.
Can I ask a clarifier though on this? Is it genetic markers that are sought for, or is it specifically color of skin?
It's someone comes in and they're black and they are then put into the category, okay, this person potentially needs to be looked at for sickle cell potentially.
Interesting.
That's my understanding of it.
Yeah,
So it's not going to, it would not show up in the genetics whether or not they would have sickle cell or not. Are you sure about that?
I didn't make that claim. I mean, potentially you could do a genetic scan, but that would still be like, okay, so you're going to genetically scan every human being. Once again, we go back to the utopia future where we have the medical diagnosis to do this, and it catches up, but we don't have that.
Okay. Are other quote unquote, well, I'll just say lineages. Are other lineages capable of having sickle cell, or is it only people that
It
look
comes
black on the
from
outside?
the area with malaria, and it was a mutation in order to defend against malaria. But it is more commonly in the Black community,
Okay.
and there's different
So
parts of Africa that have this as well.
you mean like
So-
Northern Africa, where like Algeria and Libya?
So is the claim that race and ethnicity are the same thing then?
Well, no, not the same thing. No, I would say that ethnicity is a subcategory of race when we're talking about descriptors.
Well, also, if you're saying that it has an environmental cause, then that's not necessarily a genetic cause. It's just
But
damage that's carried
I think
down
you
throughout
both-
time.
I think you both would agree they should still continue to screen the Black community for sickle cell, right?
sure. Yeah, you're going to turn me into a race realist, Mo. I know I read the bell curve,
Well,
and
look,
apparently
man.
black
Yeah.
people have low IQs. So I guess I should just assume every black person is a dumbass.
Well, that's a bit extreme.
So I would say that
is where
phenotype still
your
does a
ideas
job for
lead.
that.
No, it doesn't.
And if
I'm talking about real
phenotype,
medical community, medical reality we live in, and a really real thing that is important when it comes to race by identifying medical treatments. Here's
but
another
as long
thing
as
too.
phenotype is different than race, I could just use phenotype and get the exact same effect, if not better.
If you could use phenotype instead of race,
If I say phenotype instead of race, I'm
phenotype
actually
would not
more
account
accurate
for the
because-
area from where they come from.
What do you mean?
For malaria, it matters like ancestry wise where they come from.
Okay, but then wouldn't it still catch all of it if we use phenotype? Because it would test both the people who do and do not have it.
Well,
So you
once
just do it
again,
across the
this
board
is
for phenotype?
no. This is once again you have to understand. My definition comes from for race is statistic clustering, right? Obviously, you're going to have exceptions. You're going to have people who are like in Europe or whatever, and they look completely sub-Saharan African or something, right? The exception does not prove the rule.
So the
This proves
clustering
the
you're
rule.
talking about doesn't have. So the clustering you're talking about doesn't even have to be visible. So if you had like a malaria in Greece and half the people from Greece had sickle cell anemia as a result of that, then you would have two different races that are both Greek.
You would scan for both of them, but once again, it would be based on race. It would be okay. Now we have two categories. We have two races instead of one race to look at.
Okay, so then sickle cell anemia is enough to designate a race. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm saying that your claim earlier that race is unnecessary and doesn't do anything is proven false by the medical community.
No, what I'm saying is when I asked you a couple times whether race and phenotype were the same thing, you said phenotype was part of it, meaning that it was not doing all of it, meaning that there's more work to be done by other factors.
Because
to determine
phenotype
what race
is when you go into phenotype, you would have statistic clustering of geographical locations. But that's the
Okay, so
ethnicity.
that would include-
That's the ethnicity, and then you have the umbrella term of race.
Okay, so then if that's the ethnicity and the clustering describes a part of a certain geographic area, then the race doesn't actually do anything because my Greek analogy would totally work then, because all we're talking about with race then would be like a place where people look the same outwardly, and then some of the people who look the same outwardly have sickle cell. But not all of them do, because not all of them are going to be exposed to malaria in the same concentration.
And that would still be a true descriptive claim of race. So yeah.
So sickle cell would be enough to designate race, on its own, or no?
I'm using this for multiple reasons. Both of you say race don't exist, and your claim in your opening was that it's useless. But apparently, the medical community disagrees with you highly, especially when it comes to bone marrow transplant. By the way. And that is a really big problem. So when it comes to donor, whites have, I think it's up to 79%, 79% success to get a donor. Blacks are they only have I think it's 29%. So they actually
I can believe in
there's a lack of bone marrow for donations for transplants for blacks. So
I can believe in genetic variance and not have to believe in race. I can believe that there is variety in the gene pool without having to believe in race. I can believe in phenotypes without
what do you
having to
mean
believe
by
in
race? What is your definition of race? Because it seems like
Yeah, so
I'm saying it's a descriptor claim, and I'm not attributing any hierarchy or anything like that. But this is very important things inside the medical community. So why is that? What is you have? I assume you're going to go to the more, I guess,
metaphysics.
every person is made in the image of God, so race doesn't exist. Is that kind of the claim? Okay, so look, man,
Yeah.
I can agree with
We
that.
all have the same lineage.
I can even grant that.
And
And
we
I
all
tell you
come
what,
from the same
I tell you what,
geographic
Rex,
region.
when God willing, we both end up in heaven, and you're sitting there because you're going before me, and then I show up, and you're like, look, Mo, look around. Do you see race? I will gladly concede. But while we're on the mortal plane and while we're in a fallen state, the descriptor claim is true. You might not like it, but it's true.
But the problem is, if you said race was phenotype, it'd be a much harder argument to make. But you claimed multiple times now that phenotype is not race. A phenotype is actually observable. But now we're talking about race in terms of invisible, inheritable traits that may or may not
I am
correspond
saying, let
to
me
your
be clear.
phenotype.
Let me be clear. So when I talk about phenotype, that isn't in my description of race, but it's important that it's the key thing here, typically linked to ancestry and historically geographic clustering. So just because you have, let's say, okay, this guy is black, right? You can look at his lineage and where it comes from, and it would be geographically clustered in a certain area. That's all the descriptor claim is.
Can I jump in here and ask a question though? Because there was a comment made early on about from JS, I believe, where he said, what if he has one parent that's black? And that would make him 50-50. But if he appears as white, he may still have the same elevated rates of sickle cell and be passed over because the claim is he's white, regardless of whether or not he has parentage that is not.
But okay, yeah, even in that case, you're still looking at a medical situation to consider based on race. Just because he's half black and half white.
But if it's not visible, how do you screen for it if it's not visible?
Well, does the exception disprove the rule?
Well, we're talking about lineage, right? And we're talking about what's invisible.
Right.
We're not.
We can name
race. So if a guy looks white,
this goes back to. I will admit that when it comes to race and even ethnicity, it can be fuzzy lines. And I have another example that we can discuss, but it is fuzzy. But just because it's fuzzy doesn't mean that it's not categorically true. Once again, the grain of sand and a beach analogy.
Right, which was why I think that phenotype is much more useful because it actually describes something that can be objectively observed.
Well, not necessarily, right? Because
if it,
here, I'll give you an example, right? If you have, I'll just make up something, right? Let's say you have a certain ethnicity that is part of like the black race, and they have like a certain facial structure, right? That's different from other facial structures. Like there maybe whatever, right? They have like flatter noses or something like that, right? I don't know. And then you have another guy in the US and he has an accent and gets slapped in the face and he had a really long nose before. That doesn't prove anything.
Okay. Yeah, so we consider them both equally black, right?
Say that again?
You would consider them both equally black, right?
No, because he doesn't link his ancestry to geographical clustering of the area that would be considered under the umbrella of black.
Wait. So, but he has just as dark skin, right? And he has many of the general features.
I'm saying that feature-wise, phenotype, right? He got slapped in the face, and his phenotype looks different now. That doesn't prove his ancestry.
Well, phenotype is not physiognomy. Phenotype is talking.
I know, but phenotype
white,
is.
Asian,
I know.
Latino.
Phenotype is. I get that, but it's still perception. You're perceiving it.
Okay, so isn't medical history a perception as well? Because I want to say that
medical history is based on
fat around their eyes.
No, medical history will be based on your ancestry. Like medical, when you're talking about medical,
based on your ancestry.
To a large degree, yes, it would.
What's the degree that it wouldn't?
Well, I'm not, once again, the Grand Sand Beach. I can't give you the exact moment. It's
No,
fuzzy.
I mean, like, but okay, but phenotype is 100% genetic. Wouldn't you agree, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so then to what degree were you saying it wasn't?
To the guy getting slapped in the face with a 2x4, and he has he has a perceived change in his physiology, but it doesn't have anything to do with his ancestry.
But that goes back to JS's Michael Jackson example. It's not talking about phenotype at that point anymore.
You're proving my point here, that it's based on ancestry and
Why
geographic
do we have
clustering.
different phenotypes?
Why do we have
Because of
different
genetic drift, geographic distance,
Genetics, yeah.
sharing,
So you would say
environmental.
it's adaptation. It's we have people like people have squinty eyes if they live in the snow to stop the light blindness from the snow that bounces off their eyes. There were tribes that had curled feet because they would climb trees to get their food. Dark skin color is going to mean that you live near the equator and there's a lot of sunlight. Over time, you could take 5 black couples and you can move them to Antarctica, or you could take 5 white couples and you can move them to Nigeria, and they could have kids within their own family group. Within 10 generations, those kids are going to be a different color. They're going to have different phenotypes. Their kids over generations. I don't know how many generations it takes, but if you had pale
You're proving
white
my
people
point.
and you move them, no. Well, the point is they're still the same. They're still the same lineage, but they have different phenotypes because of where they live. So the geographic clustering. That's why I'm saying that's arbitrary.
But you're
just
saying
picking a
no.
random
But
point
you're
time
saying
to
in
base it off
your
of.
example, you're saying they're intermingling, and over enough generations, they would look more like the native inhabitants, correct?
No, they're not intermingling. They're only mating within their group. So you take, that's why I say 5 white couples to avoid incest or something like that. You have 5 pale white couples, man and woman, man and woman, man and woman, and they go to Nigeria and they only breed within their group.
Right.
Within 10 generations, those kids are going to be much darker than their great grandparents, but they came from the same lineage they came from the same geographic clustering. They came from the same lineage. They moved to a different area. Now they have different phenotypes.
Because of our environmental environmental impacts, right? Like more sun, that sort of thing, right? Is that the idea?
What if, my ancestors could
okay.
Be, I would say all of our ancestors were probably olive-colored skin tone from the Mediterranean region.
But that is
the Fertile Crescent.
The example you just gave, that's why in my description is statistically clustering, right? You're giving 5 people, that doesn't account for the entire race or the entire ethnicity of that group.
It does after dozens and dozens and dozens of generations, right? 5 people, each have 5 kids. Those have 5. Those has 5. It takes
a long time.
I think that's what JS
I don't even think it would. I think that those kids the next generation would be darker, and then the next generation would be darker, and then they would start to,
all you're proving here is people can get a tan. If I stay on the sun long enough, I can get a tan.
Based on access to food, they're going to get skinnier. And then based off of socioeconomic conditions and education, they're going to get a little dumber.
Well, let me ask you this.
Pretty soon, you have a bunch of white kids that turned into a bunch of Nigerians, but they have
real quick, Mo, let's say that no matter what, humans never change their phenotype. We always look average, about the same across the world, right? And then the same sickle cell anemia phenomenon is happening under the skin. Would you say there are different races at that point, or no?
Wait, in this hypothetical, all races.
Yes, let's say
the exact same.
Let's say that. Well, what I'm saying is, let's say there's only one phenotype. There's only one physical general appearance, like they're all Asian or they're all Latino or something like that, and that environmental factors don't
we all
change
look like JS
worldwide,
which is unfortunate, but
let's say we all look like JS around the world, a bunch of JS clones, and then you take the same malaria situation and cluster it at a certain part of wherever, and then you say it's unique to that situation, that these JSs have sickle cell anemia. Would that still be race?
That would be ethnicity. But I mean, but what you're describing here, so in that world, right? In that reality, there wouldn't be a well, I guess you could say there would be one race. It would just be all white, right? But they would still have to screen for it based on ethnicity and geographical clustering, where they come from.
Okay, how would they screen for it for ethnicity if they all look like JS?
Sorry, I meant geographical location. Sorry, let me clarify.
So geographical location,
yeah,
is
because that's where the
race?
malaria would be. No, you're asking me. No, you're asking me a very specific question. In this hypothetical, we all look like JS.
Yeah.
We're all white. Malaria still exists, I'm assuming, right? So because we're screening for it.
Yes. Yeah. Let's just say clustered in the same area.
Yeah, the medical community would have to say, okay, then it would be much harder, because then they would have to say okay, where are you from? Basically, they'd have to find, where does your ancestry come from? Where geographical location do you trace your ancestry from? It would be a much harder thing to screen for. But it would still.
But you could do that. But you could do that in general, right?
In general, how?
Like, just ask every patient the same thing.
I mean, don't we collect?
Well, that would, yeah. You're basically replacing the box of black, white, or Hispanic with where I'm from. So it's like
because
like we could call race consequential. We could call race Zuckbark. It doesn't change the reality of what it is.
Well, hold on, gentlemen. If we're being fair, if you go into a doctor's office of any kind and you're actually being seen, you're going to have medical history of family members. You're going to have all of that also put into the system. Regardless of your race, you're going to fill out, health risks from your family members.
Right.
On your parent, is there heart disease in your family? Is there this? Is there this? So that's already going to be in the paperwork when you're being seen. I'm just throw that out there for you, because if you've been to the hospital a few times, you'll realize that you have to fill out that paperwork every single time, regardless of who you are, to be seen. So,
right. I'm just trying to isolate the idea that if health is consequential based on a certain area from where you are, regardless of what you look like, well, let's maximize the regardless of what you look like, and then see if the same model holds as necessary that race exists.
I engaged in that, Rex, but I don't really know if that's really analogous, right? Because you're having to like change like. Once again, you're just checking a different box. I could go down. I could even grant it and say, yeah, you're just checking a different box to screen for this thing from this certain area. But the current reality is, in the medical field, they screen based on race, because one race has a higher percentage of it than others.
I agree that they have that on a piece of paper that you can check a box for, and that people might operate off of that sort of idea.
No, they have to, or people die.
What I'm saying is that in the same scenario of the same considerations, if you just took that off, then you would use another method. Like if you're saying that that's shorthand for geography, well, then it's like, well, if you can't use geography and you would still have the same effect, you would just have it without any phenotypic differences, any appearance differences.
Yeah, you can play with the like different variables of like how this would look in a different hypothetical, but at the end of the day, currently in modern medicine, this is how they screen for this if you're black.
So race wouldn't exist, or race would not exist where the phenotypes were different, but the genetics. Sorry, where the phenotypes were the same, but genetics were different.
Say that one more time. If the
race would not exist where the phenotype is all the same, but the genetics are all different. Let's say the genetics are all hidden. They don't manifest in your phenotype whatsoever. Would race still exist?
But there's still phenotypes, right?
It's that one phenotype all over the world, but different genetics under the skin.
Different genetics under the skin.
Would race exist? Would race exist if there were like huge?
Well, no. If we all looked like JS, once again, my definition of race is an umbrella term, right? And it encapsulates a bunch of different ethnicities based on geographical clustering. So in your hypothetical, if everyone looked like JS, well then no, you wouldn't have a thing called race, because we all look like JS. It's an umbrella term.
Okay, so the underlying medical thing is just circumstantial to where you live. It's not dependent upon how you look.
Wait, say that one more time.
the underlying medical thing is not substantial to where you live or where you were born. It's just substantial to how you look.
Well, no, it is.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
not.
substantial. It is substantial to where you're from and where you're born, because malaria and that is in certain areas. So
But you could be in the same general area and not have not be within the genetic cluster and still be of the same race, right? Like if you were like across the continent from where malaria was heavy, but
Right.
you looked the same because you had genetics that were like adjacent, so you were generally considered socially black, you would still be the same race in your paradigm, even though you wouldn't have that same malaria deviation from generations past.
yeah, it would. Well, it would be where you, like, where your ancestors, once again, where your ancestors comes from. Like for malaria, like that's the
What?
that's the thing you'd have to test for in your hypothetical where everyone looks the same.
Right. Which is why I brought that up, because if everybody looked like JS, then
It would be a dark world. It'd be so sad. I don't know. Like I would just drink
God, it'd be
constantly.
be a pretty bright world if you're talking about photons bouncing off people's faces. But
Yeah.
if we're saying that
And the
we're saying that
ladies.
race-
What about the ladies? They're all gonna look like me too.
Yeah, that's
ladies
why I
are all
said
gonna
it'd be
look like you.
horrifying. Horrifying.
That's a terrible
Horrifying.
world.
Just why even go on? Honestly.
No,
So I'm
Humanity.
looking into sickle cell. It says it can affect anyone. It's most common in people with ancestors from Africa, the
Yeah.
Mediterranean, the Middle East,
Yeah.
and India.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much everywhere except for what Western countries. Could that have something to do with, I don't know, medicine and advancements that we've made over time? Why don't European, American, Australian people get?
But it's higher
sickle cell
in the
anemia?
black community.
So can we, if we treat it, can we treat it out of somebody?
Can we treat it out? Well, it's a genetic mutation.
No,
So you'd
you're
have to
stuck-
Like,
you
why
would have to
don't-
you would have to engage in, like, very dark things to try to weed it out of the gene pool.
You'd have to give
Very
gene
experimental.
So-
So unless
You
you want to
really
go down
need to
that
just,
route, and then you could say, yes, racism doesn't exist because I've
you
we've
just
gotten
don't
rid
let
of all
two
of them.
carriers have- you don't let two carriers have sex with each other.
But-
but
Well, okay, so this becomes a broader question, I think, gentlemen, because if it is the case, like Mo was saying, that it's black communities that most prevalently show sickle cell, but we see more and more intermingling of different bloodlines from all the different areas of the world, there's going to come a time where there's not enough differentiation to tell that, and at which point, how would you differentiate then? You couldn't say because these people seem to have sickle cell, they must be of that persuasion. At that point, it could be anybody who could have sickle cell then, right?
yeah,
You could have stark white folks having it. You could have Hispanic looking folks having it. Because if there's 1,000 generations of people making children, then they could have any appearance at that point.
I just don't see it as a winning strategy not to ask the questions about, that could rule out sickle cell anemia if you're having these sorts of things. I just don't. I mean, I understand statistically because the phenotype is used as a proxy for different
Statistic clustering.
kind of inherited traits, but everybody has inherited traits. And everybody has unique inherited traits too.
and
Well,
regardless.
here's
so you're
here's
saying
the
when a
other
doctor,
here's the other thing though. Like the probability of finding, I mentioned this earlier, the probability of finding a compatible bone marrow donor from a registry, for whites it's 79%, for blacks it's 29%. So this is a very real
America?
thing in the medical community. Yes, I think this
Yeah,
is
but
America.
that's just heritable traits, but that doesn't necessarily mean race because, like you said, phenotype's only a part of it, and it's more.
But the
didn't
point
you say it's
is
more
the
perception?
medical community depends on race to deal with these things. If a patient comes in and needs bone marrow and they're black and they just say, well, race doesn't exist, and they pull some bone marrow from a white patient, that's going to have dire fucking outcomes.
I could just say phenotype for all that.
That depends on the genes
Right.
again.
and also, so you're saying racism, there's positive racism.
What?
Because when the doctor sees, most people would say like racism is
No.
discrimination. based
Racism
off
is
of
a
race.
separate thing we haven't really got into. We're just talking about race right now, descriptor of geographic
Right.
clustering of ancestry and phenotypes.
But I'm saying if the doctor treats the black patient differently than the white patient, that's racism.
If it's based on how they look, then yes, that would be racism.
Like if a doctor treats a man different than he treats a woman, that's sexism.
Well, it
What
depends
do you mean by different?
because
Yeah. How do you mean different?
OBGYN, then yeah,
Beneficially.
differently.
What if every
I'm being told to get out?
What if I give $1 to every black person I see? That's racist, right? Is that racist?
I mean, that's racist against all the other races. Sure, yes.
If you are saying
I want $1.
A motive structure, if you have a motive structure to say that because of this line of reasoning, I'm going to give every black person $1. Then if that is the only factor, you're making a judgment call based on their perceived lineage, then that would be racism. Yes.
Okay.
So this is before we like run out this, and this is interesting because this next example I'm going to use here really only is for JS. So I guess Rex, you can just join in if you want. I don't think it's going to match.
I can just go downtown. Okay.
I don't know if it's going to match the hilariousness we got from the guy at the cage that looked like a monkey. But I'll try. This is a historical event.
They put him in the monkey cage. They didn't put him in the black.
I'm worried.
Cage.
I want to know what JS has to, what he thinks about this. So, rewind the clock, right? I think it was in 94. Rwanda, JS. Okay, in Rwanda, people live side by side, same language, same neighborhoods, intermarried. Then a system came in. This system came in before 1994. 1994 is when the thing that happens next happens, but this happened like long ago during the colonization. But system came in and said, you are Hutu. And then it gave another description of other people, you are Tutsi. The Hutus, just for phenotype, Hutus were usually like shorter, stockier. Tutsis were a little long, lankier, taller people. Then they handed out ID cards, and so they locked people into categories and said they're different races. Over time, these categories became something deeper, not just groups, but what they were at birth. Then propaganda started. They're not like you. They're the enemy. They're less than human. A lot of propaganda around that, even because it started to blame the Tutsis for all their problems. They even referred to them as cockroaches. One day, violence breaks out. This is the 94 incident. And now your neighbor, the guy you grew up with, isn't your neighbor anymore. He's something else, and people start getting killed. And for that, they labeled them, and in about 100 days, 800,000 people are dead. Same land, same people. The only difference, a category based on phenotypes and race description. Is that racism, JS?
No, I think it's a spiritual issue as a result of the fall. The same reason that when we are all at the Tower of Babel and we got divided into nations and languages, I see people, nations, tribes, languages, but we all come from the same origins. So,
but in this situation specifically, do you think they did it over race? Do you think that's why they did it?
No, I don't think it's racism. I think it's worldly hatred that is taught to us and instilled
based
in
on
us
what?
From birth.
The problem is that's not a negation of racism to say that it was based on hatred. You need to negate racism.
Do we do closings? Because I want to kind of save something for a closing, but I'll say it now if we don't.
Are you doing a Sakar? You have your best argument for your closings? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm not going to make an argument. I'm just going to.
We can do closings after this.
Okay.
There's 28 minutes left on the clock.
All right.
Is it your contention, JS? I'm just going to throw this out there. Is it your contention then that because this is just hate, it's more like otherism?
Yeah, it's preferences. It's observations, pattern recognition, and preferences that we have. And it's my real contention is just the language.
This wasn't tribalism. This wasn't like tribalism in this case. This was immutable traits at birth that they used to categorize these people.
Well, it's like the Shiites and the Sufi Muslims. They come from the same region. They have the same origins.
Once again, how do you know this incident was not based on racism?
If racism is real, then that would qualify as racism.
Okay.
So if I'm if I'm looking at it from your perspective, then yeah, it is racism.
Okay.
But I'm
Well.
saying it's not about your genes. It's not about your parents or where you come from. It's things that are taught to us that we learn. Like,
But what is the referent they're using to do the teaching?
hate.
No, they have to
Hate
point
for
to
another
something.
person.
Can you point and touch hate?
How come it?
Can
Let's
you
say
point and touch
I
hate? Can you point at hate? Is hate in the room with you right now? Can you
No.
point at it?
No.
Okay, so then they have to point at something. They have to use a referent of what they're claiming for what they're claiming. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
what is that?
That's what you call racism.
That's what I call racism, but it seems like you're working awful hard not to say immutable characteristics or race.
It's not what they're not immutable characteristics if we can change them.
Tall and short. The Toots were were short, stocky. The Tootsies were tall.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
am
if
I going to
hate
change?
fat
How am I going
people-
to? I'm going to cut my legs off if I want to be shorter. What am I going to do? Take your time. Think about it.
If I hate fat people, nobody calls that weightism.
That's a mutable characteristic.
That is a mutable
There's
characteristic.
no fat race.
Yeah.
There's no fat race.
Not if they have
Don't lie to yourself, JS. No matter what you tell yourself, there's no fat race. Okay, so
right. You can change being fat.
yeah.
Just like you could bleach your skin and change your skin color, just like you could get nose surgery and change your nose, just like you could shave your head and wear a wig to change your hairstyle.
But that's like Lamarckism. Lamarckism was the idea that physical changes can change like your fundament, like what you pass on to your offspring. And the thing is, you can like, again, if you took a blood
I
test,
haven't read chat in a while. Sorry, guys. I've been looking at it.
And then if I went through some kind of
Alexander,
trans madness,
phenotype is
even
just
if
a
they
proxy
tried their
for
hardest,
the
then they would
substrate
not
of
work.
race.
But if they tried their hardest to make me into a
for
woman,
the substrate.
you would
Yeah,
still do the same
I
blood
kind
test,
of
but I would still
qualified
have
as
XY
a
chromosomes.
like a race is a umbrella term,
Okay.
and then
And so if you
ethnicity is the
if
I would
you
still,
did,
in fact, be male.
more precisely on phenotypes.
and there's ways to
like more
test
direct.
your
So
DNA
once
to see
again,
what
you know,
your
race is you're a
phenotypes
sedan.
are or your genes.
Ethnicity is your
I
2020,
would
2021
say
Hot
that
Dog Horde, right?
I'm
I
not-
It's like
don't
you
know.
get,
I don't
it's like a
know-
high
I don't
res
know.
versus a low res.
I don't
view.
know enough to make that claim. I have faith that that's
Phenotype
probably what
indicators
it
are a real
is,
thing,
like,
not the thing
but I
itself.
don't know for certain. I don't know
Well,
for certain
I
if
mean, you can
take
say that
somebody's
not the
spit
thing
or
itself,
blood
but that
and
is
tell
what we use
exactly
to
their skin
descriptively to
pigmentation
identify
is, or what
I
their
don't
nose
think
or
you
eye
can.
structure is.
race would still
'Cause
exist. It just
I
wouldn't
know
be
I know
as
a lot
heavily
about
visible
ancestry
and easy to
and
be racist by
23andMe
sight.
and the origins of all that. I know it's pretty much it's very similar
yeah, that's a fair
to
point, I guess.
it's just good record keeping. It's the same as
And I
when you
missed the
take
comment
a core
of no
sample, you can send it to
prevalence
6 different
of
places.
malaria.
They're going to ask you
I'm not
where
sure what
did
you're
the core
referencing to
sample
there,
come
Alexander.
from to figure out the age of the sediment layers and the DNA and
Thanks everybody for
ancestry testing
joining,
is very
though.
similar. You're
Well,
going
I
to
hope you're
say
enjoying the
they're going to
show.
ask you who are your parents.
Don't forget
who
to
are
hit
your
that like and
grandparents,
sub button.
Where do you live? Where did they come from? And then they have records. They're stockpiling records in a vault in Utah. And then they do good record keeping to trace it back to figure out where you come from. But once you get to a certain point, they're just doing guesswork. You could send it to 23andMe and Ancestry and get 2 different results.
They also have genetic haplogroups and stuff where there's trace marks that show you which line and things like that. But that would be a really big deep dive to get into that. But
yeah.
Yeah, but all the same, you asked about men and women and whether we could figure out whether or not, or like my example.
We can
my
figure
example,
out if
what
somebody's
my
man or woman.
My example was you're not changing your phenotype actually just because you change your physiology or physiognomy or anything like that. That's all superficial stuff.
Here's an example with that, actually, just real quick.
You got from your parents.
Yeah, JS, like, okay, so you get with a chick and she's completely changed her phenotype by all kind of like surgery and shit, right? And then they have a kid and that kid is butt ass ugly. That's
wait, she changed her phenotype through surgery?
Wait,
like sorry,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, she's like super ugly, right? Or whatever. She has like characteristics and she changes it. When kid comes out, it's ugly. That's genetics.
It usually
Point is
goes the
genetics,
other way,
okay?
rather than somebody going from black to white, it usually goes the other way.
If Michael
So, like,
Jackson
Mariah-
had a kid while he looked like a white female, as you said, it would come out as like, you know, black baby. If he had, if he had,
Mariah
you know,
Carey, you see Mariah Carey nowadays, you might think she's black, but she
Mariah
didn't used
Carey?
to be black. Yeah,
You
There's
mean
a lot
she'd
of,
be
a lot of
white?
women.
You mean
a
she?
lot
You
of
think she?
women have been doing
You think
this.
she'd be white? That's what you're saying, right?
No, if you saw Mariah Carey now, you might think she's black, but she's actually white. There's a
Mo,
lot of
wait.
it's a popular thing now for women to like blackify
Wait.
themselves.
Mariah Carey. Hold on. Am I thinking of the wrong
yeah.
lady or something?
That's
now
my
he's Googling.
girl.
I thought your girl was Savannah Hernandez based on your last couple videos.
That's my girl too.
You have a lot of girls.
Yeah, he has a lot of. Oh, Mariah Carey. Okay, I was thinking about somebody different. Never mind.
JS is not grounded.
But if Nick and Mariah Carey, if you see Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey standing next to you, you probably think that's a black couple. But then they have a kid. Now it's gonna be a half white, half black kid, and it's gonna come out looking, I don't know, in the middle. But
Mo, if you were a doctor, at what percentage? Let's say you got a guy who's like 75% white, quarter black Garrett, and then would you would you test him for sickle cell, or would you wait until his lineage became more white to stop testing him?
I have no idea.
Or would you have the one drop rule?
No, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the percentage and how they do it. I just know that they screen based on race. So I don't know the percentage, right? I don't know like how they deal with that. Now, like if okay, I don't know for certain, but if I'm going to pretend for a moment, right? Okay, I'm a doctor and I know they're the quarter black Garrett, and he's like got the symptoms of, you know, sickle cell. Then yeah, I'll test him for it. Like even if it's just one symptom.
Even if it's one symptom, you would test him for it.
Wait,
but that's me. But I don't know, right? I don't know.
Are they doing that based on appearance or based on self-report?
Well, we already said that when they come in and they like fill out their chart, they self-report as like black, white, or whatever, right? But here's the thing: if you're a good doctor and you are in there and you have a guy, let's say he's black, and he checked the white box and he's having sickle cell symptoms, you'd be a piece of shit not to screen him for it. I mean, would you agree? Like, it would be like, this guy's fucking delusional.
Yes, but that's also an obvious incongruence in the way that they've answered on the thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
But what would be more likely is somebody marked black, but they look white. In which case, you'd have to make a judgment call and go, they look white, but they could have black.
No, I think in that case, if they check black and they look white, and then they come in and, you know, it's like, okay, well, you're just paying me extra to screen you. Like, okay, here you go. Let's screen them. Good to be safe. Like, that's on them.
Same thing with bone marrow. If you have like Logic, who is half black, half white, then which bone marrow do you give them?
I'm not like I'll be honest. I only know that the availability of the bone marrow is a discrepancy between white and black, and you have to get the right. You have to be careful, you know, who you give which one to. I'm not familiar with how they handle like this, the ins and outs of bone marrow. I'll admit that right now.
These poor orphans are never going to know what race they are.
Oh, if they listen to you, yeah, they won't.
The kids who get abandoned by their parents at birth, you know, and then they grow up in an orphanage, they got found in a dumpster, they're never going to know what race they are. They're not going to know their lineage.
Well, no, they grow up, and if they look white, they'll say they're white. They look black when they go to the doctor, they'll check the black box. Like, I don't see how this is complicated.
Yeah, it's funny how race, we just call it a color. And that's what it is. You're white.
Look.
I said, what's my race? You said
this is reality, and this is descriptors we use. Do I think, you know, if I could make it different somehow, that doesn't mean I like it or I think it's great. I'm not claiming that. I'm not saying it's morally correct. I'm just saying this is descriptors in reality we live in. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't the Portuguese considered Latino? Even though they're genetically like right up in there, up in Spain.
Well, there's like
and and
yeah,
then the mixture, and then you go to Mexico, it's a mixture of Spanish heritage, Portuguese heritage. You're Latino if you're Brazil, even if you're part native, part Portuguese. You're Latino if you are Mexican, you're part Spanish, part Mayan, but you're not Latino if you're straight up Portuguese.
Well, that's what's funny is like about this is like
or Hispanic.
Just looking at the culture, right? There's like once again under the umbrella term of white, there's a bunch of different like sub ethnicities that are arguing whether they're part of that umbrella or not, right? So that it's like this ongoing thing. Like, wow,
right, that's what I'm saying. So when the Jays and the Irish and the Italians were considered not white, were they right or were they wrong?
well, that would be a moral value judgment claim, and that's not what I'm making. Making descriptor claim.
Really? So that okay. So
What you said, whether right or wrong, that would imply a moral value judgment claim.
So what about what about descriptor claim? If they said they're not white, would that also apply to it being a descriptor claim?
Give me the scenario again.
No Jays, no Irish, no Italians. They're not white.
They're not white.
Are they right or wrong as a descriptor claim alone?
Under the right a descriptor claim alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the time they were. Well, let me think about this a second. I guess in that time in period in history, they were making that claim, and that was their descriptor claim at the time that I guess the collective believed in, right? So, and that's what they kind of enforced. I guess I don't even know. At that time, did the Irish consider themselves white? That'd be an interesting question.
I don't know what they considered themselves, but they came to America expecting not to be seen with no Irish need apply signs, and you know what happened is they got no Irish need apply signs.
Yeah.
So
but
whether or not they were perceived,
they're still
Italian.
I'm asking you.
But that would be race. That would be yeah. Descriptively, that would be racism.
It's not nationality.
No. Were they descriptively correct though? Was what I'm saying for the Jays, for the Irish, for the Italians. Was it descriptively correct that they weren't white?
According to what I think, no. I think they would be under
now
the
we're
umbrella
talking
term of
about
white.
nationality.
But I'm once again, I'm not like claiming some moral ought here or anything. I'm just saying descriptor claims.
I know you're not.
Okay.
So why is
so
it
they were wrong
that we are interposing race and ethnicity? Because it seems that, like, especially with what the claim you've made about sickle cell, yes, it is the case that it shows prevalently in the Black community, but generally it's only African Black communities, because there is enough genetic diversity between traditionally African Black folks and those who may have lived in other places for many
well, it depends on the region, right? Because malaria is not in all the parts of Africa. There's different parts of Africa that has it more prevalent than others.
What does Hispanic mean?
But I want to ask Emmett.
Some people say Hispanic. Some people say
ask Emmett what, and when you ask him, say what is Latinx. Definitely make sure you use that specifically. Anyway, hey, you had a point.
I have a point.
Okay,
some
fine.
people say Hispanic means people of Latin American descent, but the word Hispanic means people of or relating to Spain. So Spain is
Latino's
in Europe.
A combo. Latino is a combo of native, Central and South American and Hispanic or Portuguese if you're Brazilian. That's Latino somehow, but it's not Hispanic to be Portuguese, even though they are genetically.
But we just call them all brown.
Well, actually, Spanish used to be white in like the 1600s and on back.
Yeah.
But they like. Do you consider the Spaniards to be white, Mo?
You're looking at one.
Are you white?
You're Hispanic. You're racist.
I consider myself
Hispanic.
white. No, I'm Spaniard. Like I have I forget the percentage, but it's like it's Irish, a little bit of Spaniard, and Scandinavian. So.
Okay, so but generally, would you consider the
conquistador?
to be white?
You know, conquistador shit. Go and take care of the Aztecs. Tell them to shut that shit down.
Would you consider the Spaniards overall to be white people?
I guess I would consider them in the umbrella term of probably yeah, that white. I guess I would consider them that, but I don't know.
Even
right?
though they're
Oh.
typically darker and definitely distinct from, say,
Well,
the
no, it's a
Nordic, the Germanic,
yeah,
the
because
English.
once again, and that's why it's statistical clustering and geographical is important in my definition, because yeah, just because someone has like if you JS example, a group goes somewhere and they get a tan, right? That doesn't change their
No, your
necessarily their
phenotypes could be
genetics.
black, brown, or white. You could be from Latin America or Spain, and you would always be Hispanic. Hispanic is a race. So let me read you
I
something I
thought
wrote.
I thought race doesn't exist, JS.
According to, let me read you something I wrote. The U.S. Office of Personnel Management's Guide to Personnel Data Standards on Ethnicity and Race Identification has the following options for how you identify as your race: Hispanic or Latino, American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, and
Yeah, I was
white.
gonna bring that up.
And white. So Asian, you could be a white Russian, but you're actually Asian. You could be a black Latin American person, but your race would be Hispanic. Or would your race be black? Which would it be? This is why it's arbitrary and inconsistent.
Do you think when they
almost
type
always-
Asian, they're thinking Russian?
self-identified.
JS? Do you think that's what they think when they check that box? Do you think they're thinking that they're Russian?
Well, what they're thinking is a
they would-
construct.
I don't know what they're thinking, and I don't know what they're going to answer.
You don't know they're
and they could
thinking
answer
really?
differently.
Are you
The
serious?
majority of the
You're,
time,
you
race
don't
is
know what they're thinking,
self-identified.
JS? You don't think
Hold
that?
Hold on, we'll take that one step further. What about India? India is Asia, and most people don't automatically think Asian when they think Indian.
And they don't say Indian's a
So-
race
Right.
because there's Bangladeshi, there's Sri Lankan. We don't have a name for the people who live in the at least not that I've heard, at least not on any medical records I've ever
Southeast
seen
Asia.
of the South. Right. Well, the Southeast
No.
Asia would be China. Southern Asia would be the subcontinent.
So
But we
that
don't have
form-
subcontinental on that form
That form states that white includes Middle Eastern or North African descent.
because they're Caucasian.
So an Iraqi Muslim or an Egyptian would be white.
I don't know why the Spanish wouldn't be North African, because they were part of that major Islamic conquest that came through North Africa. So, and that was for hundreds of years that Cordoba was taken over, and places like that in Spain where they were part of the conquest. So I don't know how they're white after all that. Like, especially, I don't know, again, just based on how many wars have happened in Europe based on lineage, obviously. When we say that's an umbrella term, it's like, whose umbrella term are we using? Whose perception of what the umbrella is the actual standard, or is it or does it change from person
once
to person?
again? Just because these things are fuzzy does not mean they have it's categories that are real and we use. Right? I get it.
So
I
European
agree with
doesn't
you, it's
necessarily
fuzzy.
mean white.
But that is my point, is that it's not just fuzzy, it's arbitrary, it's self-identified.
Well, no, it's not arbitrary.
Identified by other people.
I would say sickle cell is not arbitrary.
If I have a
there's-
black dad and a
But
white
sickle
mom,
cell
and
is
I
not
identify-
blackness.
and I identify as black, but
No,
you
but the
identify me as
entailment
white,
of it
which
being
race am I?
arbitrary means that they wouldn't check for that, and that doesn't mean anything.
But sickle cell isn't blackness. You would agree, right? Sickle cell is not a consequence of having black skin, nor is not being black a preventative for having sickle cell.
Sickle cell is a consequence of ancestry from a certain geographical location.
Not always, though, right? It's possible to take malaria and introduce it to a place so as to have the effect elsewhere.
Well, hypothetically, yeah, but that's not the reality we live in.
I agree that the circumstances are different, but it would not necessitate purely from genetics. It would be genetics would be affected by something. So, for example, if I live near Chernobyl and all of my kids have flippers, that wouldn't be a race.
Or they look like JS, then you're like, wow, something's going wrong, horribly wrong here.
I live at Chernobyl. They all look like JS with flippers.
They all like JS.
But you know,
even the girls.
But you know what I'm getting at.
Fully beard.
You know what I'm getting
Start
at.
me on Chernobyl. That's a debate for another day. There's dogs living there, and they're doing just fine.
So
They're cooking breakfast.
Next on JS, radiation doesn't exist.
Mo,
It
Well,
exists,
radiation
it's
is
just
in
not as
dogs.
bad-
he
not as
doesn't
bad
believe in
as it
nukes.
is.
So Mo, you're saying that part of the issue is they're claiming that there isn't a defined set because it's fuzzy between the two. But what if that fuzz is massive? Like you used the analogy of a grain of sand versus a beach. Well, there's
Well,
a grain of
that's the
sand, and then there's a litter box,
fallacy.
and then there's a sand box, and then there's a whole beach, and so there's all these variants in between.
Right.
So yes, it could be fuzzy, but that fuzz could be a multitude of things that have labels, and that fuzz actually is distinctive. So it's not
Yeah.
just 2 categories, it's now 20 or
Yeah,
40 or
and
80 or
this
1,000.
might help. This might help too.
Right,
There's
but
two elements.
at the end of the day, you still have the category of black and white. That's the point of
Well, here's the
the fallacy.
Here's the difference, though. With the beach, you have a large amount of sand plus a body of water, right? Those are the two necessary elements to the beach, and that's. But your analogy is a question of when in quantity, as opposed to a category within a spectrum. And the problem is we don't know what's drawing the lines of the categories within that spectrum. But we know what makes the beach, even though we don't know have a number.
Statistical clustering.
That's a question of when.
In regard to race, it would be statistically clustering.
Who decides
based on
which
geographical
clusters
location.
Who decides which statistical clusters are significant enough to define a race?
It would, once again, statistical clustering based on geographical location and ancestry.
Who decides that the statistical clustering is significant enough to designate when a race has been achieved or whatever, or designated?
Well, the same. Well, you in the example of Somalis, you knew in your head exactly what they would more likely look like based on statistical probability.
And I could just say phenotype for that if I wanted to. That has, and like you said,
well,
phenotype
no,
is only a part of race,
when I asked you
isn't
the
same as race.
question, you knew exactly in your mind exactly what they probably looked like.
Yeah, because I'm honest about that. So, but that doesn't mean race exists.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
you're actually the one making the continuum fallacy because you're
No, I'm
saying
not.
that you know. You're
No.
saying that you know when the
JS,
grains
go
of
read what the
sand-
continuum fallacy is.
I know what
Holy
it
shit.
is. I know what it is. You're saying that you know when the grains of sand became the pile of sand. I'm saying we don't know.
I'm not saying
So we
that.
have to go to the
No.
origin.
When did I ever
beginning,
claim
we
to
know
know? You're the one asking when does it
because
exactly
if I asked
happen, and I'm
you-
saying that's a fallacy. And you engage it all the time.
No,
you don't
I'm
even
not.
realize it. And you proving this right now
That's
by
not what
giving
I'm
it back to
saying.
me in the wrong
Oh my
format.
God.
You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
No, you're so smug and you just want to say something's a fallacy. You're making an appeal to consensus fallacy because you're saying
How?
just because everybody agrees at this time period you came from Africa, therefore you're black. I'm saying no, we need to go back to the beginning. We need to go back to the rock that broke down into the sand and became the pile of sand. That rock is the same rock.
Right. And my typical expectation of what a person's going to look like in a given area does not prove that race exists. It just proves that statistics exist, which is not the same as race. Because statistically, you can look at crime and say, well, this particular group finds a descriptor of what the most crime in a given crime unit or whatever. But that doesn't tell me what race is or that race exists.
It's not a consensus fallacy. What I'm doing is I'm pointing out to like a distribution I can't talk tonight. It's getting late. Distribution. Thank you. Of a population, not a belief about like a claim. I'm at the end of my wine bottle or wine cup here. So,
but even then, that still comes down
it's
to
descriptive,
perceptive. Yeah.
Who describes
subjective?
But who determines which descriptive features are significant enough to designate when a race?
Well, yeah, all of
isn't?
this would be perceptive based on history and how people perceive others. Of course, you're going to perceive them a certain way based on their phenotype, and it's like, oh, where do you come from? Oh, you come from this land. And then they start drawing the borders and mapping it out and saying, okay, this is where you're from. Hey, the people from this area tend to look like this.
Right, but that's just circumstantial based on genetics of parents. That doesn't mean that there's such a thing as race that phenotype doesn't already cover.
It's not necessarily parents, because you could have one parent somewhere, have a parent with someone else. I'm saying statistically clustering from a geographical location based on ancestry.
Explain that without the parents thing, because I don't understand what that.
Well, you say it's on. I'm saying you say it's on parents or something, right? Like that's you could have a parent that, he's from one area and then another parent's from a way across the world from somewhere else, they're going to have a very different genetic makeup of their kids are going to have a very different genetic makeup, but they're going to have genetic makeups from the two different areas.
What's the Appalachian fallacy?
I have no
I don't
idea,
know.
actually.
My chat's making fun of Mo because they're just throwing out
Saying
all
if
these
you're
random
from
fallacies.
Appalachia, you're fallacy.
The
Oh.
phallus fallacy.
I've only appealed to one fallacy, which is the very what JS does constantly, and he does it all the time.
You're not using the genetic fallacy, though?
I'm not using the genetic fallacy. I'm not using whatever fallacy. I don't know. Like, no, I'm not appealing to any other fallacies other than the one that JS is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which also,
No,
well, actually, I would say,
I'm not
you know,
doing that
I
fallacy.
don't know what might be a fallacy, but he, apparently, according to JS, he can peer in. He has access to other people's minds to know if they're actually racist or not, which is a freaking bold. That's a crazy bold claim.
No.
Well, he doesn't believe racism exists, so he couldn't claim to have that, though.
Yeah, I know. He's begging the question again.
No, he's saying that
Fallacy.
racism doesn't exist.
Fallacy.
I'm not begging the question. That wasn't a question. That was a statement.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. What Mo is getting at, JS, is that in order to make your claim that racism doesn't exist, you would have to know what everybody's thinking at all times in order to establish that claim. So that's what he's getting at.
You think begging the question means you asked a question?
No.
Begging the question is assuming the conclusion.
Assuming the conclusion and the premise, yes.
Yeah. So when you say I know people are racist, I'm saying what is racism? I don't even believe in racism.
Here's how you know. You see what they do and you hear what they say and you hear their reasonings for it. So when people say if the Yahtzees say the Jays are rats and they compare them to an infestation, they are making a racist statement because they are tying their perceived lineage to an ontological, hierarchical, or moral difference based on that.
There's a moral difference in somebody based off of
their perceived lineage.
Right.
That's what racism is.
That's what people called it.
Okay.
I need at least one for the night.
Well,
with that, there's like 12 seconds left. So if we wanted to, we could go into some closes if you gentlemen want to, and then we can.
Yeah, I think we've established that JS is wrong, and Rex is only half wrong. But maybe he's coming onto my side. I don't know.
Oh my. All right. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys do your closing. So we started with JS. Should we do it in the reverse order or let JS have the last word? And
well, he has like some super cool like killer point apparently. So maybe we should
the finishing move.
Yeah,
let him. He can have the last. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me.
So we'll start with Mo and end with JS on closings. And you want to stick to the same 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Well, so chat. Notice what my opponents had to do this entire debate. They had to. They didn't show that race or racism doesn't exist. They just hid behind vague definitions and tried to blur the obvious reality. But reality doesn't disappear because it's messy or fuzzy. We walk through a simple example: a race-blind medical system with AI ignores ancestry patterns, treats everyone equally. People suffer for it, not because the data isn't there, but because you choose to ignore the pattern. We looked at Rwanda, people living side by side, same language, same communities, until they were divided into fixed identities and targeted for what they were, not what they did. So don't tell me race and racism don't exist. One example shows what happens when you pretend race isn't real. The other shows what happens when people act on it. So let's simplify this. If you ignore race, if ignoring race leads to real-world harm, it's real. If acting on perceived race leads to real-world violence, that's racism. So chat, I'll leave you and them with this. Are you denying the outcomes? Or are you just refusing to name what causes them? Because, gentlemen, either way, you're not arguing with me. You're really just arguing with reality. That's my time.
Short and to the point. All right, so I'll reset this. And when you are ready, Rex.
I'm curious to see what JS's killer move is here.
I'd like to
didn't want to
thank
bring up the
Abe
debate.
Dinkus once again for moderating and hosting this debate. I'd like to thank JS and Mo Rebuttal for participating in this debate. It was a lot of fun.
I forgot to. I forgot to thank Abe
that it is pretty
for hosting.
clear that
Everyone
there were
being here.
laid out
I'm such a
motivations
douchebag
behind racism, and they're
I'm such a
attributed
douchebag. I'm such a
to
bad debater.
ontological, hierarchical, and moral claims that are based on perceived lineage, right? And as far as what race is, it seemed like everything that race could be chalked up to was either invisible, and that was the tying factor of things that could not be seen, and that the visible part seemed to be only something that you could figure out through a DNA test, or you could figure it out through the questionnaires
We're
that were
gonna
already
DNA
there.
test
There's enough in
everyone.
the medical system to show what a person could be suffering from, and we wouldn't have to do race. You could, again, I didn't really hear anything that phenotype didn't cover, because when you're saying, well, it's a clustered area, well, not every phenotype is to a clustered area, but every phenotype has different variations. So if you go to Africa, and there are places where people look different and don't have sickle cell lineage, and places where they don't look the same and they do have sickle cell lineage, well, then are they the same race because of sickle cell only, or are they the same race because of their phenotype? I didn't really feel like I got a satisfactory answer on that. It seemed like, yes, things are vague, but race. I didn't really see where I got that. But it's not that Mo couldn't give me a better answer, or he won't give a better answer in the future. I think it's just kind of the nature of the beast, because we're just kind of jumping in. And but otherwise, I really enjoyed tonight's debates, and I look forward to more four squares in the future.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And I suppose, JS, that makes it your turn. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. If you guys couldn't tell, I don't really take this debate that seriously. I just say stuff to trigger people sometimes.
And it's a troll.
That people get triggered, and then they want to say, "Why he said race and racism doesn't exist."
It's a troll, JS.
Who's right or who's wrong?
It's a troll. The whole thing is just a troll.
If I
That's
take
what we're resorting to.
Re-examination's definition of what racism is, then I concede racism is real. That's what racism is. That's real. If I take Mo's definition of what race is, some arbitrary, subjective, inconsistent nonsense that he just picks a random time and says that's where our lineage and our geographic location is, then yeah, race is real. Sure, I'll give it to you guys.
Conceding on both.
You got it.
Conceding on both points.
To me, this debate isn't about
all right.
Does race or does racism
I feel like
exist? This is a debate about words.
I feel like this. I feel like JS's position was really
how we move the needle.
Really,
if you look into the definition of
cross-examination,
if you look into the origins of racism, Google's going to tell you that it was started by 15th century Christians.
This is hilarious.
Christians in the 1500s. Christians in the 1500s started racism. If you look into who's the most racist group, it's going to be the evil Christian white man. So if you want to keep giving power to Marxists and leftists who want to control people with words, keep talking like them, keep using their words, keep giving them that power. I don't believe in giving them that power. The way I'm going to shut it down is say, that's stupid. It doesn't exist. I'm not going to use your definitions. I'm not going to agree with any of it. But if I internally critique it and I say, okay, this is what re-exam says racism is, sure, that's racism. That exists. If Mo says this is what race is, sure, that's race. It exists. I'll give it to you. But you're talking and sounding like liberals and Marxists and leftists who hate Christian white men, and you're giving them power. I'm not going to give them that power. I'm going to shut it down at the root. It's simply hate. We're in a spiritual battle, not a physical battle. It's not about the flesh. We have the same.
So maybe he'll reframe this in the future.
We come from the same.
And we shouldn't use
region.
the same snake language.
I don't look at
a completely
like
different claim.
But if you guys want to keep giving the people who do power, you go right on ahead and do it. That's all I got.
Joke's on you guys. I was just pretending to be retarded. It was a troll the whole time.
Awesome. Thank you, JS, for that. I'm gonna throw this out there. something that sticks in my head is a quote by Morgan Freeman.
Morgan
actually.
Freeman.
And they
Mhm.
asked him, "How do we
Yep.
solve racism?" And Morgan Freeman said,
Stop
"Stop bringing
talking
it
about
up.
race.
Stop talking about it. The
Yeah.
more we talk about it, the more we push it into the
Hmm.
limelight all the time,
Then it
the
doesn't
more people
exist.
fall into it."
It exists in the
So
mind.
wait a minute, JS. Then
Also,
why don't you
Black
just
Lives
why don't you
Matter.
make that your position? If this whole thing was just like I don't want to indulge in snake language, then why is that not your position? Then saying this doesn't exist. No, it
I've
hasn't.
done this debate.
No,
I've
it
done this debate formally. I've done this debate formally multiple times. You can go on my channel. You can watch the debates. I always say this. I always say, I don't care. It's about.
But that's not the
words.
main like premise of your structure. You're literally saying racist doesn't exist. That's all I'm saying. Oh, by the way, sorry, I'm a bad debater. Admonish me. I'm sorry.
It triggered.
Abe.
It triggered you.
Abe, sorry.
Really wanted-
Thank you for
wanted this to
hosting. I
happen
didn't
for
say
months.
that in my closing. Thank you for hosting. This has been great. Thank you to everybody who came. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. This went far better than I imagined. So thanks everybody for showing up. This is great.
All right, you gents
Decently
all,
productive.
are you gents all staying for after panel?
As long as I can,
I-
because
I got
As long as I can take a
for
piss
40 minutes.
first.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll stay for a bit. I'm coming close to my limits on my free streaming on StreamYard, so until it unplugs me, I'll be with you.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break real quick
JS?
to piss.
I got like 40 minutes.
Okay. And Mo, you got to pee.
Yeah, I gotta piss real quick.
And I also got
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna play.
I might as well too.
I'm gonna play a video and song.
Might as
You
well.
guys go take your break. I'll throw out the link and I'll play the video and we'll reconvene when it's over.
Awesome.
All right. Chat, we will be right back after this.
Boots in the dust, have him low eyes up. Says stay small, he just laughed from his gut. Late night scream, go rum on the desk. Pin like a pistol, heart pounding in his chest. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Stack that fuel, let him sharpen his mind. Pay Abe so he can grow. Take flight, load him up, watch him walk through the fire. It's time. It's It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Frontline words and a cultural fight. Pay Abe so he can grow. Take flight, back this man, let him claim what's right. They throw stones, he builds homes from the shards. Laughs at the slurs, turns scars into art. Wide brim shadow on a rusted old truck. He's talking truth, they're praying he shuts up. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Stack that fuel, let him sharpen his mind. Pay Abe so he can grow. Take flight, load him up, watch him walk through the fire. It's time. It's It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Frontline words in a cultural fight. Pay Abe so he can grow. Take flight, back this man, let him claim what's right. Pass that plate, this ain't charity, it's war. Pass that plate, every dollar is a door. Open roads where his voice runs wild. You fund the fight, you free the child inside. It's time for Abe to rise to new heights. Stack that fuel, let him sharpen his mind. Pay Abe so he can grow. Take flight, load him up, watch him walk through the fire. It's time. It's It's time for Abe to rise to new heights.
Everybody's like, "Oh, what's happening right
What
now?"
do I do now, Mr. President?
Oh man,
Dave's killing zombies.
How are
with
you
a
in two
flaming
places at
sword.
once? Yeah,
That's the question. That is the question.
right.
I can't tell you
And you'd have to
because it's
kill
not
us.
real.
Mo took the bait that's made for radical black people.
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
Well,
you
I
want to
didn't
expand
know
on
Mo.
that?
Well, can I just say that Mo is passing, so I would have never guessed that he was Latino or Hispanic.
That's right.
It's meant
Mo,
to.
I'm not.
That's why-
I can't get your blood marrow now. You know.
It's why his camera's black and white.
You'll never
by
get
the
it.
way.
One of us. One of us.
It's meant to trigger people like Freddie and Jalen who come on my panels and they're, what do you mean racism doesn't exist? I'm black.
When
You don't
when
even
in
know."
any part of
and
this
by the
did I
way,
look triggered?
Marte-
I've been having a great time. This has
No,
been
I mean,
hilarious.
No, not triggered like that. But like when I said this months ago, you're like, oh, I want to debate you on that. We're doing that debate, and I was like, I mean, it's not that fun when you do it.
And by the way, shout out to Marte
White
because I know he wanted to be part of this and just say, "I've got you, brother."
Well, then Marte did
He's
it
got
too,
too
and I
much going
was
on.
like, well, Marte's like conservative or more conservative. Marte's like conservative guys. It's
I think
I'm
if
trying
you
to-
lead with if your real claim is that it's snake language, you don't want to give the left power, then maybe just lead with that, and that should be the argument, right? Like, why is it like saying race doesn't exist? You're gonna get a crazy amount of people that are like, what the hell are you talking about? It's gonna
Hold on, though.
overshadow. You're
Hold on.
overshadowing the
This is-
real point.
Hold on though, because if we look at this from the same scope as you and I were dealing with empathy before, it's the
Yeah.
same claim. This is a word being used to harness control over
Exactly.
people through manipulation of a thing that is classifiably unreal. Other than your perspective of a person's skin color and the region they're from, the race isn't a different thing because we're all humans. We are one race. We're
Yeah.
one thing.
That's
We aren't
true.
A bunch of different things. We are actually one.
That has
genetically
similarities.
similar
Yeah.
Right.
When you were arguing about
But
empathy,
I've also
I was
kind
in the
of
chat.
I've kind of changed my. I think I'm changing my approach with the empathy thing a little bit to attack it from because I'll be honest, like the debate I saw with Rob, like he made a to my knowledge the best case for it as it has utility, right? But even that I think I don't agree with.
That right now.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with that because that goes back to my super chat, right? Just because the left employs certain things doesn't mean we should adopt them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And when you do, when you fight
JS
for it, you give them power.
Right. But JS's argument actually does have a little bit of weight to it. Like, I come from a large family, right? I'm the second of 9 kids. I am the only one in my family who is blood type O negative. So none of my immediate family can actually donate blood to me or marrow. It's incompatible. How is that any different than, it's like also in my family we've got towhead blondes and we've got like almost black hair and the reds and the sandy black browns and everything else in between, but we come from the same mother and father. So like where can you actually say that genetically I'm more similar to them than anyone else who may be naturally darker melanated than I am?
Well, blood type is different across the board, so that's just a medical category that they use to do blood matching for donation.
Right.
So
but they
doesn't
also
really
have
have
to match
anything
your blood type
to do with race.
the marrow.
Well,
yeah.
But one of the arguments against or for race being a category was that what was that people from the African continent cannot necessarily just easily receive bone marrow transplant from someone from the European continent, right? But I
Sorry,
can't receive it from any of my direct siblings.
Well, I think
Yeah.
he was saying that but you do look the same, right?
I don't know. All I know, this
I
is
look
how
an
we.
awful lot like some guy named Brandon.
Brandon.
That's very true. Some guy named
Okay.
Brandon. Shout out to you.
Yeah, some guy named Brian. Yeah, yeah, he's out there somewhere.
This is how we get hate
So-
speech
so what-
laws and
what
hate
does-
crimes.
What
and-
does looks have to do with it?
Nothing. I'm just arguing by proxy.
That's okay. Re-examination. shows
Right.
been
All
mistaken
I'm
for
saying
Brandon
is
too, so.
JS's arguments had a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
this is an
All I'm saying
anecdote.
is JS's argument has a little bit of validity to it.
This is an anecdote, but it's an interesting story. I knew a white guy, and he went to prison. Before he went to prison, he was what you would call, I don't want to say the WIGG word. He was a thug. He was a white thug, you know. He listened to rap music. He went to prison. Well, you're not going to get accepted with the black guys in prison. So when he came out of prison, he had a Swazi tat. He ran with the Aryans while he was in prison. While he was in prison, he was full AB, Aryan Brotherhood, hung out with the white guys, said, F these N-words, F these N-words. When he got out, he kept that tattoo covered, and he started hanging out with black guys again. He never really hated black guys. He just did what he did to survive. And
so what you're
that's
saying is you
prison
can pretend
culture
to be
too, right?
racism. You can pretend to be racist.
pretend racism. Well, I think it's
Yeah,
all
so you can pretend to be
racism.
racist, which would still, they tell me that
All
is
pretend.
racism
To
exists.
be fair,
I can make
it's like,
counterfeit dollars, but real dollars exist.
it's like
Yeah.
90% of everything's made up because it's all perception. So
If you can fake it, it doesn't exist. Hey, Emmett.
Hey,
Emmett.
Emmett. What's up, dude?
Hello, can you hear me
There's
now?
the man.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're playing your intro. Wow, he has his own intro. He came in with his own WCW intro music. Like, that's
Hey, I'm just
production
gonna
right
say-
there.
it started
go.
here, man. It started here.
When does Emmett get the stored animation to where he's just like,
I'm actually gonna make one now that you said.
Yeah.
Actually, I might have to make.
I gotta
one
get
where
me some intro music. That
Count-
sounds awesome.
or
I didn't do
Count
that.
Count Emmett is fighting a vampire hunter because I think that's been a long time coming, and it has to be on a volcano in Yellowstone. So,
I'm gonna make you a diss track, Abe.
ooh, really? You're gonna?
Okay,
you're
yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
go.
Uh-oh.
Abe Dinkus.
This track.
Let's
I
go.
got something to
Yeah.
say.
All
You're
in
gonna
on
get
that.
you're gonna get the fuck dissed, okay?
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
What's
You
Yeah,
The
got
rivalry's
he
gonna
gets a 4
start.
score and stays in
Listen.
the corner.
Let's
We
Welcome
never
to
know
the
what he's
theater,
gonna
Abe.
say.
Call me John Wilkes Booth.
Listen, Emmett, you're not grounded enough, my friend. You're not grounded enough.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay,
what
I
you-
four
may-
score rap battles. New thing.
Yes. Did you see the White Knight of the Panelverse?
No.
You guys haven't seen the White Knight of the Panelverse? My god.
Oh,
Well,
yes, that was
there's a few.
awesome.
Oh.
I'm not
No,
gonna name
what-
names, but
I
there's a,
don't-
there's a competition, I think. But go ahead.
I don't even
No,
know
no,
how you
no,
watch any of
no.
that.
You don't know. You don't know.
No, I
Give
don't
me a
know.
second.
I feel like Game is
Exactly.
breaking news right now. What are we talking about here?
Yes. Yes.
Now, when we say
Uh,
white, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Racist.
Breaking news. PNN reporter shows up.
Are
Yeah.
you sharing your
exactly.
screen, Emmett?
He should.
I'm not. Well, I can share my screen, but I'm not gonna share my screen. Put me. Give me a second.
That's another
Get this
reason I
done.
won't believe in racism or race, because I'll become an ethno-nationalist, race realist real fast.
Why?
Wait, why is that the entailment of that? What the hell? It's like,
Oh,
that's
if this descriptor claim is true, I'm just going to be racist.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a tomato. I get it.
That's hilarious.
Nice.
That's
Very nice.
That's freaking hilarious.
What is on the horse's no? Oh, that's a lance.
A lance.
It's a lance. He
It's
has a lance
called
on
a
one arm.
lance. Hello.
A horse had like a horn on its nose. It's a unicorn.
No. He
It's a nose
it's just
unicorn.
it was a Pegasus
A
Knight,
nose
but I had to
unicorn.
take the wings off because I'm gonna use it on another model.
Drop the
So
link to join the
made
panel
it.
if
I
anybody
made
wants
it
to
the White
join.
Knight of the Panelverse.
It's a corny horse.
Where
Yeah.
did Nate go? Nate just dropped.
Yeah,
goes-
he
goes in and
ran
out.
away from the White Knight of the Panelverse. What are you talking about?
That's probably
There's a guy in my chat, Darth Thoranus. He's asking if that's a Klansman.
No,
I'm gonna throw this out there though.
but
I heard a
if
saying
you want
once-
a Klansman, I know a guy who's
my
not Emmett who you can contact at Count Emmett who can make one for you.
Man, that's an unfortunate circumstance for your reputation.
That's true.
My reputation,
I
his
heard-
reputation.
Listen, I heard a really good saying once. It's beware white knights, people. They're not the good guys. They're the ones hiding the dragon in the dungeon, waiting to see whom they may unleash it on. They don't slay them; they keep them for themselves. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interesting.
it's like the sneaky
Yeah.
keepers are the white knights, and keep
Speaking
everybody's
of the
secrets.
clan, the
I got my
SPLC
membership letter in the
okay.
mail.
The SPLC.
They accepted
Good
me.
job on telling people. Good job telling people we don't exist.
Yeah, the
Yeah, good
SPLC
job.
went spending
Here's your $7,000
$3 million
deposit.
to fabricate racism
And your biker
fabricated
patch.
racism. They made up fake
Oh.
racism.
Oh, so they're being sued.
Yeah, they're being
for
sued because they were
false-
taking donors' money to fabricate
What do you know?
extremism and racism. Shocker.
What do you know? Yeah, shocker.
Right.
Not that any of us are shocked,
Yeah.
Pull ties and all that.
Well, we all know the history of the Democrat Party here, right? The Klan and the bullwhip and standing in front of schoolhouse doors and the internment camps and the Trail of Tears. So nothing new.
So Emmett,
Yeah.
is race real and is racism real?
I would say after hearing all of these amazing arguments, I will say racism is fake and gay, just like empathy.
They.
I'm a transcendental racist.
Grounded.
Yeah, it's the race is human, and I hate them all. So that is the transcendent part of the racism argument.
Mhm.
I thought you were supposed to love them all, Emmett.
Oh, I'm not Jesus Christ.
Yeah. If you hate one, you hate all.
Yeah.
That's
So
another
I'm
reason.
hoping-
That's another reason
I'm-
racism doesn't exist. Because if you hate one person because of their skin color, you don't love anybody. You have no love.
But I will say this. I am also have also eyes, and I know that melanin toxicity is an actual case study, and you have to beware because it causes specific problems in the brain of individuals that have melanin toxicity.
Does that include like Indians?
Especially Indians. Yeah, especially them. They have a thing with feces that I'm not specifically fond of. So you have to be very aware of them people. The wall should be like 40 feet higher when it comes to the Indians.
Which wall?
In fact, do you realize that God made the Himalayas a way just to keep them in that specific part of the world? He was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" So he created the Himalayas as
Himalayas?
high as
Himalayas.
as tall as possible.
Himalayas.
As tall as possible, so that they will not leave India.
Leave him alone. He's from Czechoslovakia. He doesn't speak English. Okay, calm
Yeah,
down.
Yeah.
the Himalayas.
So listen, Emmett, this is not my claim, but a claim has been
Mhm.
made of you that you're a churchist. Okay,
I am a churchist. Yes, I
Okay,
believe.
I'm
I
just
believe
checking.
in the church.
churchist.
Dude, I thought Emmett was from
Churchist.
like Ukraine this whole time, but he's
You thought?
I'm Czechoslovakian.
Czechoslovakian.
I did tell somebody
Yes.
earlier tonight, Emmett, that you do have sharpened poles in your yard waiting. So
Yes, that's true as well.
yes, Yes.
Emmett the Impaler.
Yes, Emmett the Impaler.
Every now and again.
But remember, he's a shapeshifter too. Like he's Emmett Goldwitz,
Golden Steinberg.
Steinberg. So
Emmett Witz, Golden
and Count
Steinberg.
Emmett
That's another.
and Goth Emmett.
That's another
I-
interesting one.
I,
Is
I am a churchist. Sorry, I will let you go. I'm a churchist, except when it comes to the Talmud, I'm a Sola Talmuda. So I'm a Jewish Protestant.
but is Jewish a race or a religion?
Ah,
I don't know. I
Both.
don't care. It's whatever I interpret in the Talmud.
Because you could be
That's what
black. You could be a black. You could have all the phenotypes of a black person or a white person, but then they would say their race is Jewish.
It would depend on how I interpret the Talmud that day.
is that some kind of transubstantiation? Like you become it if you.
I
don't
No,
know.
sometimes I read stuff on the Talmud and it tells me whatever I want to hear because I'm a Protestant Talmudist. It
You
depends.
gotta pray. You gotta pray really hard to get the answer you need, Emmett.
Yeah, I get the inspiration from the whole
From the Sephiroth?
movie.
You're having an
Not the Holy
identity
Spirit.
crisis, Emmett.
From the Sephiroth.
Emmett's just
I
picking and
just get the
choosing.
inspiration from from the God. Yes.
Like this looks
from the
good.
God.
I'll take this.
Well,
Yeah.
most who got divine revelation after the fact were from a random angel that they gave random names, or they tried to write in that it was an angel that was already written.
Oh,
about
that's right. That's right.
prior, right.
I
Right.
get inspiration from the angel of the Lord.
So
That's how it works.
you're was it Joseph Smith 2.0? You found
No.
some golden tablets.
It's like a Southern Baptist, but instead of reading the Bible with sola scriptura, is a sola Talmuda.
Interesting.
Yeah, this happened because a Jewish person was calling me a Protestant, and I said, "Well, yeah, I am. I do read my Talmud, and I interpret it myself."
I mean, we
So-
technically all protest Judaism.
Actually, that's
I
pretty
don't
true.
protest Judaism. I
Orthodox
just
and
protest the
Catholics and
rabbis.
Protestants.
Protestants. They all
Even the
say, "Come to
Muslims.
Christ."
Even
Yeah.
the Muslims
We're
That's
all
true.
are
Protestants.
protesting.
We're all Protestants.
Even the Muslims try to incorporate the New Testament with the Injil thing.
Indeed, everybody's protesting it.
Say we
Hey,
just
are you going to
protest
keep going after
Islam.
this?
Well, I put the link out for people to join, but
Yeah, I put it in my
I don't
chat
know if I
too.
can- I don't know.
Maybe
if I can
nobody wants to be
raid-
touched with this
pasting one.
discussion.
I'm pasting it into. the
Hey,
StreamYard,
good to
so
see
it
you,
should be
Shipping
going to
Grow.
Every linked place, so any of
Understood.
you can
Understand.
come to,
Understand.
as long as
Maybe
they click
maybe
the
I need to
link.
work on you a little
They
more.
just have to not be
Maybe we can have a discussion.
turds, and we'll be good.
Yeah. I will say this: whenever we talk about race, it's kind of weird for me because I don't understand what exactly it means, except because there's like 4 or 5 different definitions that people give. So if it's just a characteristics towards a tribe, I think you can say that, but I don't care about my hatred doesn't come with how you look, it's towards the tribe, right? I don't
Yeah.
care who you if you look like you're Indian, like Lutch, I don't dislike Lutch because he looks like an Indian. I dislike Lutch because he's a filthy atheist.
Mm-hmm.
So it has nothing to do with how he looks. It's just because it has to do with the tribe he belongs to, which in
Are
this
you
case is
sure?
the filthy atheist.
Yeah, I would
Filthy
rather.
atheist tribe.
Are you
I'm in
sure
the
it's not
tribe of the black
libertarian?
conservative more than I'm in the tribe of the blue-haired white liberal.
Yeah.
Well,
We could say that, all of us.
well, see,
Yeah, I don't like
that
witches
actually-
either.
To bringing that up, that's actually something that in my debate with Rob, that was brought up, that was pretty on point. I think that tribalism is natural in humans, and that in-group tribalism to protect the people of your group, your nation, your town, your family, right, is pretty inbuilt in us. And it doesn't have to be like just because they're the same color or whatever. It could be we're all Christian. It could be we're all American. It could be, and I do think that there's a natural predilection in the human being for a type of tribalism. And
So-
he like equated that. He equated the base parts of what we use as empathy as that, because there's a spotlight effect that is denoted in empathy within psychology, that there's always an in-group preference for earnest empathy, and that people who look like you generally gain the most empathy from you. The most attractive people, the most likable people, all of those things tend to get the empathy. And there's a spotlight effect, and I think that's due to tribalism, and I think we're kind of built that way.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think you're right on that part, Abe.
it's about idealism.
The people.
How long Nate's always on a
Go
delay.
ahead, Jess.
I was just gonna say it's not about black and white. If we have to have an ism, it's idealism, because everything else is going to be arbitrary and just made up and subjective and inconsistent. It's idealism. I don't
think
like
it's
your
idealism.
ideas.
I think it's ideologyism.
I think it's
Yeah,
Christianity.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, you all
yeah.
suck, including me. Get better. Find Christ.
That's true.
That's the good one. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So actually, Abe brings up
Okay.
an interesting point here about tribalism. I guess on the question for the panel, is tribalism inherently bad?
No.
No.
It depends on what you mean.
Mhm.
Because if you say I am morally obligated to hate the out group and love the in group, irrespective, then that would be bad. But if you're saying tribalism in terms of like we are under threat based on some common perceived outward thing we have, then it's more efficient for us to stick together for our survival without having to hate the people.
Even if we
No.
even if we take the first descriptor that you gave there, Rex, would it be inherently bad to feel that way? Let's say if tribalism is attributed to Christianity versus like atheism.
Well, Christianity, you're supposed to love everybody. You're supposed to the
Yeah, but
Father sends rain upon
you can hate their actions, right?
Yeah, but that wouldn't be tribalism, because hating actions is not people group to people group. It's
Well,
talking about actions.
True. Rex,
Tribalism is
but-
people group to people group.
Right, but
Well-
Rex, you're also not going to allow like serpents in the garden, right? You're not going to let people who are seeking to destroy to continue to mingle.
No,
right?
no, because
And
that's action based and goal based, right? So if we see somebody who's like a false, person who's trying to undermine us, then we kick them out. Yeah, I mean that's prescriptive of the
atheism
church, too.
doesn't have a color or a race. Atheism is a ideology or a belief. Really, it's a religion, in my opinion. But so
Yeah, but that's
that would
opposition
be-
to an idea. That's not what I think. When I think tribalism, that's why it's good to define it, because if you say should we hate atheism, absolutely. But do we hate atheists? Well, no, they're also made in God's image, just like us. We pray for them, we witness to them, we tell them to repent, and obviously we should try and get some influence in the government so we can promote the Ten Commandments in the Bible. in
actually,
schools
this
and
this
everything
is
like that.
interesting. This is kind of a side question for you, Rex. I don't think I've ever actually engaged you in it. Do you believe in the death penalty?
Yeah, I think that Romans 13 not only permits it but gives the basis for
Okay.
it. Yes, they
So
do.
you can
they do not bear
love
the sword in vain.
you can love someone, have love for someone, but still like punish them for their actions.
It happened in the Old Testament all the time.
Okay. Based. All right.
But
Yeah.
you asked, is tribalism inherently bad? But I'd say no. But then when I think about it, it is the result of the fall. Like if there were no fall, then there would be no separate tribes. And like the Tower of Babel, God changes the language. In the Bible, it doesn't talk about race. It talks about peoples, languages, and nations.
I
And
think
so-
it's inherently a trick question, JS.
Yeah.
I do, because tribalism can take any form, right? If we're saying tribalism as in you have a group of like-minded people that support each other, help each other, and defend and protect each other and uplift their goals and their mission, that's fine. But the moment that tribalism takes the form of a band of people in, say, Iran in the 70s that decide that they're going to overthrow a government, well, maybe no. Maybe we
Yeah.
don't want that tribalism.
Well, and like So sexism, is sexism inherently bad? Well,
Yeah,
we
I
don't let
don't know.
men and women's sports. That's not bad. Sorry, Nate. You go ahead because I know he's on a delay. So we got to.
Yes. All you, Nate.
No, you guys are the main ones. I'm here to just kind of interject, but I mean, one, I guess one aspect of tribalism that I'd wished I'd paid attention to earlier in my life was septum ring theory. I mean, yeah,
Nose ring theory is a thing.
my
It's real.
dating history really proves that one.
Oh, and don't forget, beware the hair. If it's like really short or really unnatural colors, beware the hair.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's an
Nature-
aposematic mechanism.
nature tends to make things that are poisonous very colorful. So,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Tree
There-
frog theory.
That's
Yeah,
called
there
the
you go.
aposematic mechanism.
Yeah,
Big.
tree frog theory.
there's a huge thing of outward dysfunction shows an inward dysfunction, and so you're going
Yes.
to display the dysfunction that exists within you outwardly in some way, shape, or form. I think those are glaring examples to the whole of society. Something is wrong here. Walk away.
You will know them by their fruit.
Yep.
And then part of that too comes with the people who have so much plastic surgery to look like lizards and
well-
wild cats and all that stuff. It's like something is deeply wrong with you. It's kind of like how an infestation, if you have an infestation, like sometimes you turn on the light and like they scatter,
R-
but once you start seeing them during the day, you know, whatever insects are in your place, that's a deep bad infestation that you just don't hide anymore. It's all over you. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, thank you. I also have another theory about tattoos. Anyone who has not actually participated in warfare, but is blasted in tattoos, and this goes for males or females, that is just as big a warning as for mental instability as multicolored, bright colored hair and septum piercings.
Well, more
I-
people have tattoos than don't now.
Seriously, the like my what? Well, yeah, but also we're in like a 60% mentally ill society now.
Well, you served, Abe.
Like
So,
I said,
what about
my
serving
theory
gives you-
actually starts from right. That's where my theory actually starts from. Well, if they've actually served in warfare in wartime, right? They've actually then I do think ink can be a cathartic way to memorialize and draw it out of the mental, so that it's never gone. There's a physical representation of it, but it doesn't have to stay in the mental,
So
if
on
that
that
makes
note,
sense.
on that note, Nate, I was raised very strongly against any form of tattooing. And yet I have a bunch of tattoos and I'm a combat vet. But the thing that I've realized is the most important pieces of the verses or the structure about tattooing is you're not supposed to tattoo the names of ancestors, the dead, the fallen. All of those things are a sign or symbol of worship to like ancestor worship, which is very talked against in scripture. And then what you see is there was a huge
Right.
move in ancient times to do that, to memorialize people who have died on their flesh outwardly. And I think that is there's a danger in that. Now, if you've just got iconography or symbolism or a story, that's different than like some level of either person worship or ancestry worship on your flesh.
I disagree
That's
with
that's
that.
an opinion. That's an opinion.
Well, let me ask you this, Abe. So, if
Agree
you
with
say
that.
ancestry worship, so if a guy
I
has
agree.
like tattooed of mom or whatever on his shoulder, or like a child who has passed away or something like that, would that be considered a sin?
I don't know if it's a sin, but I don't think that it's wise. I think there's something to that because that's what the passages talk about is to not mark the names of the fallen on your flesh. And so
Let the dead bury the dead.
and so I think there's an inherent danger in that. I don't ask me why, but like for me, I was raised that no tattoos, and those verses were used as the reason you don't get tattoos. But those verses specifically state it's the fallen, like people who have died, people who are in your past or your ancestors aren't to be put on your flesh. And so when I look back at that, I'm like, oh, well, that's different than just a freaking tree or a butterfly or something that has some random beauty or aesthetic. It's different than a person who you knew and now you've put the name of that dead person on your flesh forever, for the rest of your human life, at least your flesh life.
What do you think there is to that? Because it's like you're enshrining a memorial to a human as opposed to your body being a temple to God in all ways. Is that what you think it is?
Probably something along those lines. I mean, I'm like I said, this is just an opinion statement, but that that felt inherently wrong to me, is to have the name of somebody who has fallen in battle. Like you are memorializing a person who has left this place. And ancestry worship is another one, because if you're worshiping ancestors, then you're putting people in the place of God in your heart at that moment. And so I don't think that's wise. Again,
Definitely not a girlfriend or a wife. You seen it where they have like 4 different names and 3 of them are X'd out? They keep getting girlfriends' names tattooed on them.
Yeah, I don't have any tattoos.
Like
I almost got sleeves once, but I'm glad I didn't, because what I would have gotten, I wouldn't match up with my current ideology.
Whoa.
Are you talking about serial killers, JS? Moria and like, the names and the X's.
You write your assassination list on your arm. Once you complete it, 1, 2, 3.
List,
It's like a
Sally's
memento
gone,
situation.
Jesse's gone. Megan's gone. Who's next?
All your victims. Yeah, there's an interesting thing. Why I said that if I believe in race and racism is I'll end up being a race realist or like an ethno-nationalist.
That's a pretty crazy claim. Can you expand on that? Because I don't know. I don't see how that tracks.
Well,
I agree with JS.
When I look at crime rates and I see that certain races do the most violent crimes, when I look at the bell curve, I see different IQ levels in different races. There's the lunchroom study where they studied how kids in lunchrooms naturally group together based on race. They always separate on race. Churches separate by race. Then I start
Mine.
You have a but generally people.
Yeah, I've never been to liturgy and they all like stack in a line based on race. That's kind of a crazy claim.
Oh no, but I mean like there are more what you might call interracial marriages at my church than not.
Really?
So it's very and especially for like a very conservative, socially and politically kind of church, it's very rare. So I appreciate that a ton, because I think that reflects.
Why you appreciate that? First of all, that doesn't make any sense. But anyway,
of course,
who are these?
Oh, we all know, like,
why wouldn't I appreciate that?
There's like
because it doesn't make any sense. It's so dumb. It's just humans marrying. It's like, oh, I appreciate that there's a lot of black guys fucking a lot of white chicks. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't give a shit about their race. Doesn't mean anything.
Okay, then it shouldn't.
It's
bother
retarded.
You. Okay,
it's
cool.
That is virtue signaling. Okay, what you just did there, fucking virtue signaling. Oh, I appreciate a bunch of black guy fucking all the white chicks. It's fucking stupid. It's retarded. It doesn't mean anything.
I agree that what you said was stupid and had nothing to do with what I said. So
that's exactly what you said. You just said it with other words. That's exactly what I said.
That's my own words.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of interracial mingling in my church. I appreciate that. It's so good.
I don't know why this triggers you so much. I don't know why
it's so good to have a bunch of black guys fucking all the white chicks. I love it. Oh my god.
I don't know why that got on your mind. I don't know why that got. I didn't know why that got on your mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying the thing you said, but
no, you're not saying
a lot more direct than you are. I'm sorry. What do you think? What do you think people that marry interracially do? They just hold hands?
What you think that? Okay, you think that only interracial marriages have sex? What's your point? What is your point? You just get triggered over nothing.
Yes, I think marriage have sex. Oh my god. Whoa. Blew my fucking mind out there. What do you
dude,
think? I'm a
you're not
lefty? It's like,
tracking.
oh,
You are not tracking at all
Alright,
with what I'm
the
saying.
lefties are the
Emmett's
guys that
not
say,
a
"Oh, you
fan of
get
the
married and you don't
race
get any sex." But I'm
Why-
I'm a
why-
staunch Christian. You get married and you get all of them, baby. That's
What are you
what we
talking
do.
about,
We get
dude?
on them babies.
Emmett,
was
I
there
don't,
more to this
I don't even
statement?
know what the point is of all this.
Yeah,
But if I
you
can, make,
can you
if I
can
could
say that you don't
if-
know, but at the end of the day, what you're doing or what you did right there, okay, what you just did was virtue signal. Oh my God, I love the
virtue
fact that we have
signaling
a
is
bunch of
inherently-
interracial
okay.
marriage.
So,
It doesn't mean
so
anything.
so let's just grant it. Let's just grant it. What's wrong with virtue
Mm-hmm.
signaling? Can you tell me?
Yeah, everything's wrong about virtue signaling because
Good
it's not
job.
actual virtue. There's no
Okay.
virtue in virtue signaling. Okay.
Okay.
You're
are
not
you
better.
ready?
You're not better
Are you
than
ready?
most because you
Who
think
ca-
you
I
are.
never
You,
I
because a
never
bunch
claimed-
of black guys
I
fuck a
never
bunch of white girls in your
never
church.
claimed.
That,
Never
there's
claimed,
that is
never
exactly
claimed,
what you do
never
when you're virtue
claimed,
signaling. Is
never
you're saying, "Oh, I'm
claimed,
Guys, I
better."
hate to
never
interrupt
My
claimed,
church,
this, but I
my
gotta
church
head
is
out.
better than yours because
Hold
mine has a
on.
bunch of black guys fucking a
Emmett.
bunch of white
That's
girls.
the
Hold on,
dumbest thing.
hold on.
That's the dumbest characterization you could
Hold
have
on.
made.
You
JS,
can say that.
Emmett, hold on.
I know I can.
JS
It's true.
wants to-
Yeah, you can say that. Doesn't mean anything.
Emmett. JS wants to leave. Let him
Yeah.
do his spiel.
It's nothing long. JS Urban Adventures, check it out. Monday nights we do the Dreaded Conservative Show, news and politics and social commentary, stuff like that. Friday and Saturday nights, streaming panels, yelling at each other, and I'm working on reading the whole Bible live on stream. And we're in Daniel right now. We're halfway through Daniel, so that
Nice.
happens in the mornings throughout the week, randomly. So just subscribe and hit the bell, and then you'll know and all that good stuff. But we're working on 6K right now, so. Let's
Awesome.
get it. But thank
Thanks
you,
for coming
Abe.
up,
Thank you,
JS.
Mo. Thank you, Re-Exam. That was fun.
Yep.
That was fun,
yeah.
man.
But
I
see
don't,
you
I don't-
guys.
I don't get too contentious about it because it is kind of, to me, it's just like a fun thing to talk about. But it is interesting.
Understood.
No, and I'm glad we had it in this format too because it got a lot more out of it than just like a two-sided thing. I think this format's pretty cool.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
guys. God bless. Have a
Agreed.
good one.
God bless, man.
Let's
Later.
have a good night, JS.
Later.
So, Emmett, did he have more to his statement than just what he said? Because there is a possibility that there was more to the statement that made it not what you're saying.
He
Or
said.
did you stop him?
Yeah, I stop at the fact that he was virtue signaling about how good his church is because there's a bunch of black guys fucking a bunch of white girls, which means absolutely fucking nothing. I don't care about your race. If you
Well,
have
unless-
families in your church, that means a lot to me. That means a lot more to me than if there's a bunch of melanin that likes to fuck a lot of less melanin. Whatever
Yeah,
the
but-
sex is, don't give a shit. Okay, and I like the white bunnies. Okay?
But what if his
There's no bunnies.
statement, but what if his statement is
So
that you can see a unification through marriage and Christ that supersedes race?
yeah, because as I said at the beginning, I don't care about race as anything but a signifier of culture. So if you're talking about the culture that is signifying, as I mentioned with the idea of Lodge, I don't dislike Lodge because he looks Indian. I dislike him because he's a fucking atheist.
So
It's
my
the same
point.
thing. It's the same thing with the white chicks that have a ring. No, that look like fucking cows, right? And have a nose ring around their fucking nose. Okay, when
Yeah.
I see the cows over
I wonder
there
if they
being like
speak fluent
"Ooh,"
goat
bullshit,
with
I
that.
don't. Yeah. I don't like him. But it has nothing to do with the color of them. It has to do with the fact they're a bunch of witches.
Well,
Right.
that's
Now,
So-
let, me,
the heart
let me
of the
clarify
country.
something that I think is going to help this. Martin Luther King once said that the most segregated time in America is Sunday morning. And that was true for a long time. And it's still true in a lot of ways. And I think I think that's indicative of people maybe not necessarily being racist, but definitely feeling comfortable like this is a white church, this is a black church, this is a Korean church, and things like that. And I think it's more reflective of the kingdom of God to not let that be a barrier. That's all I'm saying. It's not that any couples are better than other couples or any churches are better than other churches, but what is indicative is if you actually see what Christ wants you to see in human beings, you're not going to let that be a barrier. And I think that the self-segregation stuff communicates a norm that is a barrier. That's all.
Yeah, but at that point, the question becomes what is exactly what God wants in His church. And if that is the case, we're going to have to go to church history. And why do we have to? And the way that we worship has to be the way that God decided that we should worship, not the
Which
way
has
that
nothing to
we
do
want
with
worship.
phenotype.
No, because as stated, it's for both for the Gentiles and the Jews. So when the universality of the church came about, when in the idea, especially during Acts, virtue signaling whether or not they are, the amount of melanin and how many of them are fucking each other.
Which is
doesn't
not what I
mean
said
anything to
anyway.
me.
So you're just
It is the
mischaracterizing.
same thing because you're saying, oh, I see a
No,
lot of people. I see a lot of couples and they're different melanin levels and they're together. Oh my god, that's so good, especially in such a conservative way. The fuck cares? I don't. You think? What do you think I want to conserve? When it comes to conservatism,
What do you want
I
to conserve in terms of race? What do you want to conserve?
Families and
Okay.
kids. I want to protect and conserve the families and the kids. That
Okay.
is what I want to do. I don't
Great,
give
so do
a
I.
fuck about how many melanin is on your skin. I want
No,
to
I'm
conserve
talking
the
about
protection of the
I'm
kids.
talking about breaking
Yes.
down segregation. That's all.
Yeah, how many? Tell me, how is that gonna help the kids have?
How's
a
it going to help
family?
kids to break down segregation?
Yes, how is that gonna help the kids have a family?
How's it going to hurt the kids having a family? In fact, you have more options if you're not segregated.
Don't ask me a question. Answer my question. How
It's a
is
dumb
that
question.
going to
It's
help?
irrelevant. It's completely
exactly.
irrelevant.
It's fucking irrelevant. I don't care. Doesn't mean
You care a
anything
lot,
to
apparently.
me in the part of conservative. No, I want you. If you're gonna make a claim about virtue signaling,
You
look
made the
at my
claim about
virtue.
signaling. I never
Look at
claimed
my
to be
virtue. My church has a bunch of people, different melanin types, fucking
Your
each
anger
other.
is
It's amazing.
Your anger is
When
entirely
you're
invalid
gonna
and
say that,
unjustified. Sorry.
What?
what you're saying that when you're saying that, that's the virtue. What is the virtue in that? None.
The
It
vir-
means
the vir-
absolutely
the
nothing.
virtue in
It's
fighting against
completely irrelevant.
segregation based on
I
race?
don't care. I don't care for the fact that it's not going to help conserve what I want to conserve, which is the
What do you
protection
want
of
to
the kid and the
conserve that it
families.
threatens? What do you
I
want to
already-
conserve that the desegregation
It's
threatens?
irrelevant. It is irrelevant.
What do you want to conserve? So it's irrelevant. What do you,
You
want to
don't
conserve?
get brownie points for doing something irrelevant.
But you didn't.
Then why are you doing something irrelevant?
No, you did it. I didn't virtue signal about how much I like, this
virtue
melaninated
signal
individual
about, I like
fucking
families,
that less
therefore
melaninated
segregation?
individual.
Well,
I didn't
like
say, oh my
families.
god,
I
have,
like
oh
families,
my
but
god,
Wait.
signals
Wait.
bad.
What was?
oh my
what was
god,
the,
there
wait,
are
what
so
was-
many people
Emmett,
here of different
was the actual
races fucking
statement?
each other. Oh, it's so
No,
good. I give a
Emmett.
shit about that. It means
What was the
absolutely
actual
nothing.
statement made in it? What was the actual statement? Was he saying
The actual
it's
statement
virtuous, or
made-
did he say he's happy? that
Yes, he said that
he's
it's virtuous. Well, I don't know. Would you be happy for things that are not virtuous?
Well, it could just be an opinion of joy that he's seeing families being built,
Yes.
absent the coloration
Segregation.
separating them, right?
Fine. Why is the melanin important on that statement?
Nobody
what this
said that
episode was
melanin was
about,
important.
race and
Here's what I'm
racism.
saying.
Why is that? Okay, fine. Why is the race important? It does. I am happy that different races are forming families. Why is the
Great.
races
Great,
there?
then we
why
agree.
Why don't
Then
you
we
say?
actually
Why don't you
agree.
say? I am happy that families are being formed. Why do you have to fuck? Why do you have to?
Didn't you,
know,
stop him?
fucking the race in there? Why?
What are you talking about, dude? I'm talking
Why
about.
do you
Can
have
I even
to
can I
add
even
it?
answer the question? Can I-
Answer my question. Why do you have to add race in the fucking forming?
Who said I had to add race? What I'm talking about is anti-segregation motion, which is good. I'm talking about exactly what Martin Luther King said when he said the most segregated time in America is Sunday morning. And if you
Yeah, I
can
don't
find
ca-
more
I don't-
church, you don't care.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if it's the most segregated time. Let's say that there's a. Let me put it this way.
Is it okay
I would
for somebody
prefer.
else to care?
No, I would prefer no because they don't. Give me a reason to care. Give me a fucking
No,
reason. Okay.
nobody's asking
The-
you to care. I'm
Yeah,
saying, is it okay for
exactly. Give me
other
a
people
reason to care. No, they're retarded if they care. Okay, I want to stop being retarded. So that is the point.
Well, there's one way you could do that.
If yes, thank you. I will off myself soon. Don't worry about it.
I'm not
The
talking
point
about
is-
offing yourself. I'm talking about
Why
stopping
not?
acting in a
that
certain
will
way.
stop me for being retarded. Anyway,
You are
when I was
ridiculous
talking,
with the words you put in
I
people's
am.
mouths, dude.
Yes, I am. Anyway, so when I'm talking about the segregation, let's say that we live in a horrible segregated society. The black people is on one side, the white people is on one side. Both of them have 90% family. 90% of the kids live with both the mom and the dad. Don't give a shit. Better for them. That's exactly. I don't care as long as the kids have families, as long as the people have the family. That's amazing. Don't care. Okay. If I have a full-on, society, they all together, everybody's banging each other, and we have a 70%,
Nobody's talking about the banging.
70% rate that the kids are being raised without a dad. That society can go die. That's
Okay,
that's the way that I see it. So it has nothing to do with it. Exactly,
race.
nothing to do with race.
Great.
So you
then
tell
we
me
agree-
why
we-
do you have to add to your idea of families are great, okay? And then you have to add a race to that. Why do you have to mention the race?
I'm talking about anti-segregation action. That's it. I don't know why, you're
is
so
it
upset.
good? Yeah, okay, fine. Why is that good?
Yeah, because why should we discriminate based on phenotype? Why should
Because
we?
apparently when we don't do it, we have a society that is quite literally 70% of the kids are being raised without a dad.
So wait, so if you have, if you break,
do you want me to show you the numbers for the black society in America? Is that what you want me to do?
That's univariate. That doesn't say anything about. That doesn't say anything. Okay. That doesn't say anything about people of different ethnicities marrying each other. You're looking in fact, you're actually making your anti-point because you're saying, look, in this community, they're all marrying each other and they have these issues. You're defeating your own point.
Actually,
I'm not defeating my own point. When in Jim Crow, how many of those kids that were in the black community were
What's
being
up, Lone
raised
Wolf?
without
Good
a
to
dad?
see you. Don't forget to hit like and sub.
How is Jim Crow
I
causality
guess
for
you
family
would
unity?
be sad and depressed if the couples
I'm
were
not
the same
making that
color.
claim. I'm telling you that when it comes to you
Yeah,
bringing it up,
I think
okay,
Image
you're
holding him to
bringing it up. You're
task
saying,
on
"Oh,
the
family,
statement there
look at these families
inside
being built
a Christian
without-"
paradigm.
And it's so great because
Why is it virtuous to see
That's what you
less
said.
them
You said
mingling
yay
more
family.
on its
melanated
surface?
are-
Because at the end of the day, the only thing that
What?
matters is
You
having
were like yay
families.
family, so you're making it
I
sound like we're
said
agreeing.
gay family.
Yeah, yay family.
Yeah.
Family is great. Yeah, we agree.
Yeah, and then you, if that was the only case, if you say gay family, I'm okay with that. If you
Also,
say
boo
gay family
segregation.
because race, and I'm gonna
Not because
race. Yeah,
Not
fuck
because
yourself. I don't
race.
care.
Okay.
It is because race. What were you
okay,
celebrating?
Here's what it is when
Were
you
you
start
celebrating?
listening. Here's what
Were
it is
you
when you start
celebrating the
listening.
family, or were you
Here's what it
celebrating the
is
fact that
when
they
you
were a
start
bunch
listening.
of people of different races
Like,
getting
are you
married? Which one were you celebrating?
Are you ready?
On a
Okay.
panel-
Are you gonna answer my question or not?
The
Which one
longer
were
a
you
panel
celebrating?
goes,
The entire
Won't let 'em.
position,
the
entire
more
position is yay
Ibbot
family, boo segregation.
Go ahead and
Is that
Spurgeon of
easy
someone
enough?
approaches one. I love Ibbot. He's hilarious.
Why boo segregation? That you haven't
Ibbott's
tell me why
hilarious.
should I care about the segregation thing?
Yeah, because it's anti-Christian. You already made that chapter. You already made that fact from Acts.
The anti-Christian?
You said yes. You already made that argument from the book of Acts when you're talking about the church.
When we talk about the church, I was talking about specifically that we should worship the way he wants to be worshipped.
You talked
How
about
do you
how there's a
know,
lack of
okay?
division between Jew and Gentile. That was another point that you made that's actually relevant.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that we have concentrated so much about the desegregation and the effects of the desegregation is that 66% kids without a parent, without both parents in their household, okay, in the black community, should tell you something about it. Because it was 20% when we were super segregated. So maybe we shouldn't fucking focus on, oh my god, the segregation of the fucking races. We should focus on the fact that we are raising a full generation of kids without both of their parents.
Okay, so Jim Crow saves black families. Is that your argument?
No, that's that is not my argument. My argument
Then what's
is that
your
every
point about
single
segregation?
time. My point is that every single time you focus on race as a supposed virtue, which is not a virtue, you actually are denigrating the actual virtues that we should be following, which is, for example, family, which is, for example, the protection of the kids.
Great. Yay, family, boo, segregation.
I don't care about segregation. Why should I care? You haven't answered me that. Why should I care about segregation?
If you don't want to care, you are free not to care.
Why should I care about it?
Okay.
Why is it a fucking virtue?
Okay, so it's not a vice to hate somebody based on their perceived lineage. Is that what you're saying?
I don't hate them. I just want them away from me.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in general. Is it a vice
Yes,
to hate somebody
they
based on their
don't hate
perceived
them.
lineage?
They don't hate them. They just want them away from them.
Okay, yes or no?
I don't hate the Mexicans, but they can go back to Mexico.
You. I'm talking about in general.
I don't care. I don't care about Indians in H-1Bs, but I want them fucking gone from the U.S. and taking away the H-1B.
You won't answer the question. Fine. You don't know if it's a vice or a sin whether or not to hate somebody based on their perceived lineage.
You're adding hate, and I don't understand where you're getting the hate from.
That's what racism is talking about.
No, I don't hate them. I just want them away from
I'm
me.
not talking about. Okay. Okay. So does that mean that
You're
translates to
asking me.
segregation? Wait, you
Yeah,
want them away from
you're
you
asking me
via
about it.
law? Via law.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Why
you can
not?
you can have the rest of the time. I'll just listen to you now.
Why not? Can you give me a note of why should I have him on my society? Why should I have? Okay, fine. Let me put it another way. Why should I have atheists in my society? No. Okay.
Well,
Like, I don't know how it works
so
in the
Emmett,
long run, but
to kind of clarify, your attack angle is based on kind of ideologies, and you're saying that in the Christian paradigm, segregation shouldn't even be considered, or as a virtue, or some sort of like thing to focus on. What really matters is families and making a bunch of babies.
Yeah, the way I would say is if you're saying, for example, in the church, you don't care about who comes to the church, it's about who is in the church. And the celebration of the church is the community of the church and the virtues of the community. And your amount of melanin is not a virtue. So if you
right,
get married, you celebrate the marriage of the people and the family of
obviously.
creation. If you celebrate the people around it, I will never go around and be like, oh my god, you know my church? There's a bunch of black guys fucking a bunch of white girls. It's so good. It's incredible. Oh my
But
god.
but that's
Fucking
not
retarded. Don't give a shit about that. It's
that's
so
some
dumb.
that's a little bit messed up framing because I think he's literally piggybacking on the whole idea of this entire debate, which was race and racism. Like, do they exist? And if they existed throughout history, we're seeing a move away from hatred of a person due to their skin color, and he's happy to see families being developed, even though it used to be the case that you didn't see a interracial family in a church together. That was very almost
Yeah,
impossible
but
in the US, but now he sees it and he's happy to see that. Like,
I
I'm
don't see what
curious
is
why there's a
the
problem with him feeling happy at seeing an interracial couple in his church.
the interracial is the problem. Why should we see that as a virtue, Abe? What is
No,
the virtue of seeing that? Why should I feel good about it? What is the good of having
I
an
don't think
interracial couple?
I think the claim that's being made is he just is happy to see that there's a breaking down of people hating
Yeah.
based on skin color. And so that's inherently seen through people falling in love with and building families
Okay,
with
fine. But
people
the
of their
way that
choosing.
we got to that point, okay, the fact that we have the fact that we've got to this point by literally destroying the lives of kids, okay?
Did
Because
the people in his church do
what
that?
we have
Did the couples in his church do
we're
that?
talking about the generality of it. Is the general idea. The fact that we have focused so much on this retarded thing
We
that
who?
quite literally the race is, you know,
We
oh
who?
my god, how dare people call me racist? In fact, we make it such a big deal about being called racist. Oh, the fact that we got there by literally destroying families, and now we're like, oh, we're gonna virtue signal because we have some melaninated individuals means nothing. It means nothing. It's just virtue signaling. That's
Did you
what it
have
is.
like a different debate right before this that had to do with the same topic in some way, shape, or form?
I've had many debates on race. And my idea
No, I
of
mean
race has
like
been always
right
been the
before you
same.
came here.
No.
Okay.
Hey, Confluence
Just curious
HR,
because
what's
you
up,
came in
bud?
like
Good to see you. Raid
on
from
like a
Imp
solar
from
flare
Con.
on the
I
Thanks,
ice.
am
man.
in
That's
Like a
awesome.
donkey.
Appreciate it.
I'm really mad about other stuff, so I'm venting as well.
I can tell. I can tell.
Fuck, it's fucking. There's
I know. I
fucking
know what it is
individuals on
too.
the internet that have been
Screwing with your
doing
thing.
bullshit,
Yep.
and then yeah, fucking. I hate virtue signaling. I do. I really don't like virtue signaling. You know, I have that my idea of virtue signaling. Okay, is is the idea of if you want to go, and this is just my opinion, don't take it for granted, it's not true, whatever. I'm not talking
No, what's wrong, Papa
authoritatively,
Emmett?
but whenever I see people virtue
Just to
signaling, it reminds me
summarize
of the
for everybody
story
coming in,
of the lady
Rex made a comment that he in his
of the lady
church
given wealth
he
to
doesn't
the
see
temple.
segregation,
That
and
you know,
he's
that this
happy
guy's
that
giving all
that
this
doesn't
wealth,
exist.
everybody's cheering on
And
them, and then
Emmett
she has just a
viewed
coin
that
and
as
gives it.
a virtue
And then,
signal.
you
And
know,
Emmett's
just tries
point
to
is
look at her and
that
tell her to
it doesn't really
look, that
matter,
she has
you
been
know,
blessed and
that's not
performed
inherently a
with her
virtue to
life, and
see
then
that.
people ask him like,
It
why
doesn't
you
really
say that? And
matter,
he's like, well,
especially when you
you
look at
do
like
anything that's virtuous, don't tell
parents
anybody. If
in
you
the
say
black
something,
community
if you
and
do
single
something
mother
with your
households and that sort of
with
thing.
your right hand, don't let your left hand know.
That's not
I
necessarily
know
a
what
virtue in
this
the
is.
Christian paradigm. What's a
So
virtue in the Christian
it's really
paradigm is
one of
getting
the
married
things
and
that
having a bunch of
Right,
kids.
but my
pisses me off
question
So it
about
should
then
never even be so
would be,
segregation should
he
never
didn't
even be
claim
come
virtue for any
into
action he himself has taken, just something
a point
he
of
witnessed
focus
that
when it
he
comes
thought was
to the
good.
Christian paradigm.
Well, yeah, what is the
And so
virtue of
Emmett
that
and Rex have
thing
been going back
he
with each other.
witnessed?
I don't
I think
think
Rex
every
is about to
claim
come
that
back
people
in
make
here,
in general is virtue claims.
but
I think if
Rex
somebody
kind of
found
like
joy in
turned his mic off
seeing
and just let
something
him
that they
go.
think is good for the world, or at least for their community, do they need to have a virtue claim behind that?
Yeah, as
Because
I
if
was
we
saying
were doing
earlier,
it, sure, maybe.
Emmett on panel. I love Emmett; he's hilarious.
Claim,
But
yes.
Emmett on panel on a long enough timeline, him getting triggered.
So by
approaches
that
one.
logic, saying that you think that Jim Crow is better because it preserved families, is that virtue signaling?
No, that's just a statement of fact. If the
Okay.
if in
Is family
if in Jim
virtuous?
if in Jim yes, of course it is. If
Did
in
Jim
Jim
Crow
Crow,
promote more families?
no.
Were the family numbers higher in the black community during Jim Crow?
Yes, but it
Well,
was not
that doesn't
Is
entail
family
the
a virtue?
entailment, but that doesn't that entailment. That is not that it was promoting. Jim Crow was promoting families. That I think that's a bit of a stretch.
no.
Actually, if you really want to break it down, if segregation kept black communities together in their
Yeah.
own areas, in their own sections, then it promoted the building of black families. Then it would, in that case, make it so.
Well, I think
blacks
maybe you could say
had
it's a
to build families within their own
byproduct.
communities.
It's like a byproduct.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
know if it's like
byproduct.
I don't know if it's promoting. To say a certain policy is promoting something like directly is a different statement than saying that like a policy is put in place and it has byproducts that weren't necessarily thought of when the policy was put in place. Because I don't think when they put Jim Crow, I don't think when they put Jim Crow laws in place, they thought we're going to promote family, right? I don't think that was the goal or the intent.
No.
What meme? What am I showing? What meme?
I told him he already showed the meme. He showed up on panel. He is the meme. He said he sent you.
Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold
No,
on.
it's not about that. We're talking about the virtue of it. I see family is a virtue. I don't care about the color you are. When I see people getting married, the virtue is in marriage, not in the melanin content. When I see people saying
descriptive,
when I see people saying, "Oh my God, my community is based on X thing," instead of
All right, look. I think that's pretty funny.
That is funny. Bravo, JS.
Shut me the fuck
well
up.
played, JS. Well played.
Okay, so for me,
he should have put that in his closing.
For me, that is a virtue. The virtue comes from, the fuck is smoking in my house?
Your head.
Holy
It's
shit!
probably pouring out your ears.
No, someone's smoking weed in my house. Holy fuck! What the fuck is going on? I'll be back.
Being squatted.
So you start hearing noises from the attic.
Yeah, basement squatters. Hot box in his basement.
That is it is a very strong smell.
I think I kind of understand where Emmett's coming from, and his claim is partially that we should cheer families and leave race out of it because it's unimportant in the grand scheme of the spirit and the
I
soul of
agree.
people.
I agree. You don't have a better family because you have a quote unquote interracial family. That wasn't
And
my
I know you
point
don't.
at all.
I know.
My point was that I am glad that there are sins being done away with, and here is proof positive evidence of that. That's all I was saying. I wasn't going around saying, hey guys, this is the place where, you know, sex happens between two people with different melanin content. That's a ridiculous, stupid mischaracterization of what I was saying.
So Rex, question
Yeah.
for you though. Would you agree though that in modernity, like when you look at ads and propaganda and things like that, that it is pushed as a virtue and they focus on it a lot?
Yes, there is a leftist
Yeah.
thing that says you are more virtuous if you like quote unquote race mix, and that's not true.
Well, it's more along the lines, gents, that you are more virtuous if you love everyone outside of your in-group more than you love your in-group.
But it's only
That's-
focused on white people when it does that, though. It never says prescribes that for anybody else that's called anything other than
right.
white.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we can all identify that. We all see that there's an issue in that because it's a fake action. It's a
You smell it from there,
it's a
bud?
distortion of
Are you
and
Confluence
goes
Asia,
right
are
along with,
you
like,
are you the guy inside
suicidal
Emmett's
empathy
house? Is that why you
type
smell it?
movement. It has
Is
that
it you?
same release all the prisoners because of their skin color. Don't
Yeah.
charge people because of, like, all of that falls into that same
I wish
nasty
I had like
virtue-y,
some sort of a thing on here to show me when I
you know?
get a raid.
Right, doing the
I don't know if
wrong
I got it or not
thing,
from Con, but everybody, if I did get a
because
Con
you
raid,
feel
really
bad
appreciate
for
it. Thanks. Shout out to
somebody 'cause you
Con.
think they're
Everybody
ontologically
go
victim.
Which is the
subscribe to
actual
Confluence. He has
racism.
great panels.
That's
very
part of
regularly.
racism, yeah.
But drop a
Yeah,
like
that's
and a
one
sub
version
if
of
you're
it.
enjoying the content.
Here, I have a question for you guys, and it's an interesting one because it's tangential to the conversation we just had. Do you think that the N-word is more racist in its use today against white folks than it is against the black community?
I don't know if I understand the question. Are you, when you say if somebody calls a white guy the N-word?
No, I'm going to actually lay it out. So if you say the N-word in the wrong place, you'll probably get dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you, in almost all senses, are unallowed to say a word. Your speech will be governed by those around you, depending on where you are, in a massive way. Is there a word that other skin-colored people can say that will have that same effect? Or is it only white people saying the wrong thing about others that has that
Hey,
effect?
welcome
Like,
to the
we
show.
can't use those words.
I think because of leftists, typically white people are seen as more inherently evil for every action. We're like on stilts of evil, you know. So everything we do that is wrong is more wrong in greater degree, you know, in the minds of leftists because of what we are. That's why I say that wokeness usually if not always, breaks down to actions are not moral or immoral. People groups are immoral and immoral, and their groupness justifies their action.
Right.
Yeah, I think I see the point you're making, Abe, and I do think that in modernity, it is kind of like it's racism to a large degree because it's basically because you can see this with like even like Hispanic groups, like a lot of them seem to be allowed to say this word, but the moment it's a white person, it's open season essentially. So it is a weird thing.
Normally, like it's not a big deal in Mexico the way that it is in the U.S. I know this to be true, and so it's just it's a weird.
It wasn't.
State.
It is now. It's becoming. You know why? Because we're importing your culture. With virtue comes from race. It's funny because in the past it was like, oh, you're just poor, and we hate you because you're poor. Now it's yeah, you're white. And it's funny enough because it quite literally starting people the way that they've done it is by calling people whitesicans. So I know 100% that it comes from the U.S. because it's quite literally. Well, I would be a whitezican. I wouldn't mind.
I told you you're the whitest Mexican. I told you that like partially when we first met. I told you you were the whitest Mexican.
But
I thought he was the most Jewish Mexican.
It's
that's only because of avarice.
The problem that avarice is not Mexican. He is.
No, I'm saying he accused you of being Jewish.
Yes, he did. Well, I'm a Sola Talmuda guy, so.
just keep saying it.
It doesn't
I'm
help
sorry,
even when you show up on
that-
panel decked out in Jewish garb too.
I have the Hava Nagila rap, okay? What do you want me to do?
I'm just saying, it doesn't help your case.
Tiny hat, people town, rolling tankers the. Yeah.
And it's a nerd.
So
Yeah.
the what I have seen is we're destroying the actual virtues that we should be happy about, what you should be encouraging, and we have put virtue in something that is completely irrelevant. It's like Pride Month, right? Pride Month is the same thing. It's like, oh well, I know a lot of gay guys. It's like, okay, good to know that you know a lot of fucking guys that know how to fuck. It's that simple, right? It's the way that it works, the way that we're looking at things and where we're putting the actual virtue is kind of
Well, it's
dumb. It's
whacked
like, yes,
out.
I
You're not wrong.
enjoy.
That's why you see people say where they're from immediately, because it has some level of
Yeah.
importance, or they tell you what their sexuality is right off the bat because it has so much importance. You're right. There's a complete misalignment of what values are, what virtue is, and we see it all over the place. We see people
Or
utilizing
instead
something
of
that has nothing to do with virtue as a virtue.
Yeah. Or instead of being like, I go to my church and I see all of these kids together playing. I see all of the kids, and that makes me happy. You're like, oh, I see people with different ethnicities and they're married. It's like, oh, the fuck cares about that? You know, the actual things like, oh, I see all these kids there. That's fucking awesome.
There's a ton of
Okay?
kids.
That's
There's a ton of
amazing.
kids too, but I guess it'll be virtue signaling.
That's awesome. But I'm not gonna fuck. I don't care about how many. I saw a little lady in from the south side of Asia, and I saw this guy was white, and
But
they
Emmett,
got married. Oh my god!
can't you see
Fucking
how the
stupid.
discussion we just had was about race and racism, and how we as created in the image of Christ should see others as worth something, and to say that you're happy to see that is
Oh, I have so many
they're being
bad jokes
seen?
right now.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I know, but I have so many bad jokes. Why you do this to me, Abe? Okay.
I'm about to fight you. That's what's about to happen. I'm
I'm
about to actually start
We're
debating
going
you.
to Jello. We're going to Yellowstone, baby. We're
You know
going
what?
to Yellowstone.
The rap battle.
You won't even be able to reach me, guy. I'll punch you from like a mile away. You won't even know what hit you.
Oh,
you
he's
did
targeting your
not say it.
phenotypes, Emmett.
All I'm
send a
gonna
Scud
do
missile.
is
I'm
dive,
gonna call you
dive
a
direct
hobbit
to your
all
nuts.
time,
That's
too.
all I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna call
do.
you
You
a
can call
hobbit.
me a hobbit, you fucking giant. Okay, I'm not. It's gonna be David versus Goliath.
It will.
I don't care.
Except for you don't have a sling and you're not coordinated enough to use one. So
You're not Jewish.
I'm Sola Talmuda. What are you talking about re-examination?
What are you talking
I'm
about?
obviously Jewish.
What are you talking about?
The angel of the Lord would be
hey,
with me. Okay.
Emmett, I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on that diss track. Don't make me wait too long, because I might release.
It'd be funny if he already had it. He already has it. And he just starts playing.
You're gonna
Emmett.
listen. You AI bros with your AI broish. Okay, you're gonna go around. You're gonna be like, yeah, you put yours. I have to produce my shit. I have to produce it. So yeah. I'll make it though. I'll make it. You're gonna love it.
Careful what you wish for.
I had an Abe.
I'm looking forward to all of this. I just gotta say, as a bystander, this is gonna be great.
Right.
Careful what you wish for.
Epic rap battles of history continues.
Epic rap battles of history.
Yeah,
we have to do something like that. It has to be something different. It's gonna be like epic rap battles of Panelstein. Although I'm not in Panelstein.
It'd have to be like gargantuan rap battles of Panelstein, or
gargantuan rap battles of Panelstein.
Considerably significant rattle. I'm going to sleep now.
If I have this community over here, Cool has the cool verse. What is mine?
The Dinkus verse.
The zombie.
The Dinkiverse.
The zombie verse.
The zombie verse.
The Fourscore verse.
I did. Oh, that's a good one. I did play on the fact that I wear this top hat all the time, and called all of my memberships hatters. and like the highest level is a Mad Hatter because
Yeah,
you know
there you go.
Mercury's a thing.
The distinguished hat community. A little lengthy. Needs work.
The A Brigade. You know what? What should
A
we call
Brigade.
it? I know. What should we call it? What should we call it? The Civil Wars. The Civil Warriors.
Civil Warriors.
How about the
Yeah,
Union?
the Civil Warriors. Oh, that's actually a cool name, the Civil Warriors. Because we're civil, and we're
We're
warrior.
civil.
We are very civil. This whole encounter has been very civil. I agree.
Shut up, Mo. Stop virtually, Mo.
Mostly peaceful.
Yes,
You're
mostly
dealing with the
peaceful.
Mexican spurg, Mo. The mostly peaceful
I
protest.
told my chat like Emmett on a panel being triggered the longer he's on, long enough timeline approaches one.
I'm serious though. I'm gonna actually ground you and smack you around. That's what's gonna happen.
The Civil Warriors. I like the Civil Warriors.
Well, gentlemen, I've had a great time. This has been fantastic. Rex, that was really fun. I appreciate the exchange. I also appreciate the great layup and on the with your cross examination. That was hilarious.
With Otobenga.
Yes, with Otobenga.
I know that was gonna be like so hard to get out of because like how do you fracture that into it's just people hating people. I don't think so.
they locked him up because he looked like a monkey.
That was the only movie he had left. That was really the only movie he had left, and I knew
was
it.
Hilarious.
And it just because I watched. Here's the thing that Mo and I were on that panel after Marte and JS had that debate, and it was like kind of jarring because Speakeasy was on arguing from JS's side, and I think he was using stronger arguments than JS was at the time, if I had to guess. But part of JS's strength was how it was so hard to make sense of what he was saying because he said, well, people share 50% of their DNA with bananas. So if you hate bananas, are you racist? I was like, what? Like huge non sequiturs like that. And so it wasn't so much the strength of the force of the logic as the strength of the force of the illogic that we had to contend with. And you're like, what? If I'm going to take this in good faith, how am I going to understand what he's saying? But yeah, I think, Mo, you've been preparing this for a while. I've been somewhat preparing it for some time. And when I discovered or thought of the example of Otobenga, that was it's a very strong example.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got to. I was pretty pleased with how it all turned out. It was a great time, very hilarious.
Yeah.
But Abe, thanks for putting this together. This is fantastic. I look forward to more. Let me know.
There will be more.
I will be out of town starting actually this Friday, and I won't be back in town until about the 3rd or so. So everyone out there, I'm not disappearing or going away. I'm just going on a little family trip, but I'll be back. But other than that, come find me on the channel, Mo Rebuttal, tags everywhere. Come give me a like, trying to get to 500, creeping my way there. And thanks for everything, and God bless, guys. I'll check you out next time.
Yep. God bless. Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, can you hear me? Let me. I don't have my. That's the wrong one. Wrong one. Here we go. We'll do. There we go. There we are. Well, everybody, appreciate you tuning in. That was the debate. I thought it was a lot of fun. Got some concessions from JS, more than I thought. It was pretty hilarious. Seemed in the end that JS's contention with the whole thing is that it's just this snake type language and categories that the left use, which I agree with. I agree. My claim and the debate angle I was coming from was solely a descriptor claim of just reality and how race and racism is a real thing in how people engage with it and that sort of thing. So, but I had a great time. This was really fun. I really appreciate Abe putting these together. I look forward to more. But I think that's it for me. I think I'm gonna head off, get some sleep. I got an early morning. As I said, I'll be back doing debates and panels on sometime after the 3rd. I do have a debate coming up on abortion. That is going to be sometime. That's going to be a thing on the 14th of May. So look for that. You'll see a stream put up for that. That's Emmett's actually hosting that debate. So looking forward to that as well. But that's all I have for me. You guys go have fun. You don't have to stay. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I think Easy's up. Abe is still up, obviously. So go give those guys a like and a sub. And I wish you all a good night and God bless. I'll catch you next time. Take care.